late, so don't moan to me. That's why I have long intros. But I think we're live now. Hello, everyone. Apologies. We are
Buddy,
a couple minutes late. Do forgive us. How's everyone doing? Let us know that you can hear us loud and
yeah.
clear.
Talia
You think?
Holt is here.
Hello, all. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Flood the comments and just let us know that the audio is all good and that you can hear us all good and we're kind of all good to go. And we'll know. Thank you for your patience. We're about 3 minutes late starting, so do forgive us. Always think it's going to be super smooth, and then and then it isn't. Well, there you go. All right, lots of funds up, so that means people can hear us okay, which is great news. I'm joined by the one and only Keulimika today,
Hi, everybody.
the legendary Keulimika, I should say. Legendary status you've got now. Legendary status.
You're flattering me too much.
No, it's all good. Lovely to see so many familiar faces in the comments. Hello, Tracy, Talia, Enoch. I'm not sure if we've ever chatted before, but you're very welcome. Macy's here, Paquette's here. Great. So we got some My Blissful Life, Jay Darnell, That Ninja, Pine Hill, Nyla, Under Zenith, Eldana. Welcome, welcome everyone. Yetunde, the sketcher. Welcome, welcome. Really, really a pleasure to have everybody here. Actually, I've got a quick question for Yetunde. Single you out. I'm just going to ask, do you have an account on Egypt Search? Just say yes or no, or I've never heard of Egypt Search. I just wanted to know. I know it's a very common name, Yetunde, but I just want to know. But yeah, welcome everybody. Welcome. So today's live stream, I think we can kind of hit the ball rolling. We've had a couple of live streams together already where we've taken some time to take it to Metatron and basically just kind of address all of the arguments, I should say. I was going to say many of the arguments, but actually we've done very thorough takes on both of his videos now. So yeah, we've kind of addressed all of the arguments, and I feel we've done a good job at not taking anybody out of context and absolutely addressing his entire argument. And I think it's yielding some positive results. Obviously, for us in the community, it's just great for us to be able to just have open, honest discussion and show everybody that actually none of these arguments are anything that's too difficult to deal with. If there's elements of truth in them, we're happy to accept them, but if they're false, as many of them are, we're also very happy to debunk them. But also I think it's having an effect on the kind of like wider argument, the wider argument and the wider debate, because what it's doing is just highlighting the fact that no, you can't just lump everybody under this kind of like fallacious pseudo-scientific label, which is what Afrocentrism is viewed as, and kind of try and lump us under this label and just act like we're mad people. That's kind of the way everything's been set up. So it just tries to discredit our arguments as a whole. You can't do that. We know exactly what we're doing. We do take a scholarly approach, and actually we think the science is on our side when it comes to this. It's not some kind of like hope in vain. It's actually kind of an irrefutable truth. So it's nice that is being, I feel like that is what's kind of emanating out of this argument, whether or not we see it as much directly as we like to. I think that lots of people are seeing it. I think it's kind of like getting out there and people are realizing, hey, actually, I thought these guys were wacky, but actually their argument is better than the mainstream. And yeah, it is because it's going to be because it's truth, isn't it?
Exactly. It's just people coming, having an open mind, and then they listen, right? say someone introduces them to us. Oh, you see, this is the Afrocentric community, but have you listened? Have the critical mind to actually sit down and listen to what we say. And those who do, well, they end up finding out, oh my God, I was wrong, or someone misled me. Actually, someone came in my comment section telling me, I was coming in your video, having watched Metatron's response, I was coming with the idea that you are one funny guy, like repeating the same arguments and all. But they were pleasantly surprised to find out that I was not, and we were not like that. We were putting out studies, evidence, logical arguments, and they were like, okay, you're completely different from what I was introduced to, as you know. So
Yeah,
it proves something, It proves something.
absolutely. And I think it's one of the things it proves is that the reason they use these kind of tropes and these euphemisms, like Afrocentrism, something that you know I actually hold dear to as a philosophy. You know,
Mhm.
as in as in African scholars taking ownership of African history. That's what I view
Exactly.
Afrocentrism as. Nothing more than that. African scholars taking ownership of African history, but they're very careful to have turned that into a slur. And what it does now is it creates this backdrop of a lack of credibility, a lack of research, a lack of rigor, for want the term that seemed to have stirred such a bee's nest up, a lack of rigor. That's what it stirs up in
Exactly.
people. And I think this argument, I think the good thing about it is that it's kind of shown people that that's not the case. Actually, our level of rigor and our level of scholastic approach and research actually exceeds what's put out. Someone actually made a really good comment. I think the last time we did a live stream, it's like
Mm.
when we present our arguments, we have to be so thorough and so precise and make sure that we don't make any errors. Whereas the other side can just put out any clad trap, you know, any clad trap nonsense and just kind of like, tack on research, Max Planck Institute, and all of a sudden everyone's
Yeah,
lapping it up. This is
uh,
rubbish. This is not.
they'll
This is
keep
not
showing the
scholastic.
same
This is a
study
joke.
or the same pictures. They'll show 4 pictures, the same
Mm,
ones, and they are acclaimed. They receive an applause for great research, thorough. You show 20 different pictures proving your
mm,
point, and you're like, you're cherry picking. You are the the best example of cherry picking because
mm,
you showed 20 pictures and the other who showed 4 pictures, they're
mm.
acclaimed for being so thorough. That's
And
what
this
we
is
often
and what a good point. What a good point. It's like, and this is why actually this live stream is labeled like this. Anyone who's kind of familiar with my channel will know that I really try to avoid having videos titled "Were the Ancient Egyptians Black?" I hate the discussion personally. I prefer to have discussions centered around cultural continuity and let people kind of be led to the obvious conclusion. Here's a reconstruction. Here's things that we do in Africa that are exactly the same as they do. Oh, look, by the way, our bones are
see.
exactly the same as them. Our skulls actually exactly the same. Our skin complexion is exactly the same. You figure it out. You fill out the gaps. That's kind of the approach that I prefer to take. But the reason I took this approach in this video is because I wanted to highlight exactly what you've just said there. And the point that you raised there, which I think is a very good point, is that when it comes to their argument, they love to turn around and go, "Oh, the ancient Egyptians weren't black." Like we put out 50 photos of King Tutankhamun. Look, here's King Tutankhamun's shrubties. Here's his golden throne. Here's his golden mask. Here's like literally 50, 60, 100 photos, all showing clearly a young black African boy. Clearly. And then they'll turn around and go, "Oh, he wasn't black." Okay, so what's your proof? Because I've shown you 50 or 60 photos. Have you got proof now? Because you're saying he's Arab and he weren't black. Can you show me an Arab photo?
They'll say his nose is
Radio
now.
silence. Can you show me a white photo? Oh, he was King Tutankhamun was a blonde. Okay. Can I have the blonde photo, please? I just want one. You don't have to give me. I've given you
Just
50.
one.
Just give me one
Just
photo
one.
showing him blonde. Yeah,
Yeah.
one will do. One. It's like, and this is it. You know, this is it. This is the
Someone
kind of
said they were dark
backwards.
Caucasian. Exactly. That's the kind of arguments, the
That is the
thorough kind of
argument.
arguments that we have to deal with.
Oh, dear.
The ones that
I want
are
to give
blamed.
a quick shout out to Jonathan Waters, who has 1 second. Is my thing frozen? Come back to life, please. Okay, it's just catching up. I had all praise for StreamYard. It looks like it's struggling right now. I want to give a shout out to Jonathan Waters, who's donated £5. I'm trying to get your comment, $5. So I'm trying to get your comment on the screen.
Thank you, Jonathan.
On the lines of "Let's go." It's much appreciated. I think I'm gonna have to refresh my screen. Yeah, this screen has died.
Yeah.
It's so slow. What's going on? StreamYard. It's not even moving in real time. You know, I'm gonna refresh this page and hope for the best.
Okay, try refreshing.
This is Google Chrome, man. Google Chrome's normally the bee's knee. I know it's moving a bit now. Okay, let me see if it will. There we go.
Yeah.
Okay, there we go. I got it on the screen. Oh no, it disappeared. Back again? Okay, we're back.
Now it's back.
There we go. Thank you, Jonathan, for your donation, as always. And yeah, I think that's kind of it for the intro. So yeah, in terms of the title of the video, that's kind of what I wanted to do. I wanted to really take that approach where it's like, all right, let's actually see, do they have good arguments on this whole Egypt was Caucasian, Egypt was white? Because actually, in my estimation, there's literally a handful of artifacts which they circulate ad nauseum, just over and over again. It's like, oh, Egypt. You know, as soon as someone says the ancient Egyptians were Arab or white, you know what you're gonna see. You know what you're gonna see, because I could list them to you: Rahotep and Nofret, the seated scribe. Yeah, that walking Kaifa, what was his name? That walking Egyptian who we don't know his name. So this is two that we don't know their name. And I think that's really it, isn't it? Oh no, who's the other one? Nefertiti. There you go.
Well,
so those are kind of the four. Yeah, you know you're gonna see those. That's gonna be a part of the suite of the very few artifacts that they have that support their notion. But when you turn around and say, but all of the pharaohs look African. Like all of them, like every single one of the dynastic pharaohs look African. Like why?
Okay. One question I wanted to ask, I was like, okay, have you ever seen a Eurasian, like the ancient Egyptians, white person go through all the pharaohs' statues? Have you ever seen any? To do what we've done?
Never. I haven't even seen them. I've never seen them with confidence even say one. I would love to see that first of all. With confidence, Clay, show me one that you with chest are saying this was a white/Arab pharaoh.
No, but as Aketo Peru said, right, the big lips are justified by bee stings.
Okay, El Harry does that all day. He's got a witty retort for every single that's his thing. That's his thing. But that's exactly how it works. It's like we're expected to flood, to present our arguments so flawlessly. It's like, and it's every day we show new data, new information, new images, new research, new studies, just showing. Like the other day, I don't know if you saw, I posted on my community posts on YouTube. And anyone can Google this, by the way, just Google Egyptian hairdresser. Yeah, because there's not many of these images, and one stele will come up and it will show you Kemetic people, ancient Egyptians, getting their hair twisted. Okay, in fact, I'm going to share on the screen really quickly. You saw that? Yeah, let me share it on the
Yeah,
screen because you probably see my post, but I want to share it for people so they can all see this image.
When I first saw that image, because I shared it as well in my video on the connection between East Africans and Kemets, right? Then I showed that image because when I first saw it, I was like, wait, I've seen this. I've seen these I think Ethiopians doing this to their hair, twisting, and the remaining part that is not twisted is up in the air. I was like, this. If you can put up the image on the screen, because it would be great.
Yeah, but and it's not just. And just to be clear, it's not. I mean, I took a picture of my daughter the other day getting her hair plaited, and it was literally exactly the same image. She was like, "Dad, what are you doing?" I was like, "No, I need to snap this. I need to snap this." And I might show that before the end of the stream if I can get my phone connected somehow. But I was like, I need to snap this because obviously I was like, this is an image we've seen every day. We're getting our hair plaited. We always attack the sides first. First of all, let's talk about the order of attack as well. So in fact, let me just put it on the screen because I think this is a good one. Because it's not just the what's happening in the picture, it's the continuity, just the kind of like the familiarity that we have with images like this as African people.
Exactly.
Sorry, just bear with me. And let me put up a new Google. Yeah, blah, blah, blah. Let me do it off screen. Google Chrome. Oh, no, just what I didn't want to happen. People start emailing me. There we go. Okay. So I'm sure people have probably already Googled this, and I'm just going to quickly Egyptian
hairdresser.
No, let me type ancient Egypt hairdresser. I haven't got it saved on my laptop if anyone's wondering why I'm doing it this way, but I know it comes up pretty easily on Google. Images. Here it is. So here's the image. Open new tab. So yeah. Open image. I want to open the image in new tab, not open the open image in new tab. There we go. Sorry about this. I want to zoom in properly. All right, so everyone can see this okay. So zoom. So obviously people who are on my page, they probably would have already seen this already, but let me just quickly show. So the thing that I was showing to everybody, if you look at this guy over here, you can see that his hair literally standing up vertically, like Guile from Street Fighter. Yeah, which obviously Eurasians' hair, Arabs' hair doesn't do that. This is black people's hair does that. I'm sorry, this is strictly an African trait. Your hair literally standing up vertical, pointing to the sky. So this
defying
gravity, and this image just shows us so much. Because not only, first of all, the braids or the twists that he's getting put in his hair, he's attacking the sides first. So everyone who is of African descent will know that this, if you're getting your whole hair braided, this is the order of attack we take. Yeah, we take the sides first, okay, and we work our way up to the center. These things don't change, all right? Doesn't matter which culture you're from, all right? And the hair is standing up. Okay, you got these men waiting in line. You know what it's like creating a bar. Like, this is just an African scene. So once again, it just brings clarity to obviously what we know already about ancient Egyptians and their hair, that this is just twisted hair. Okay, so when people see Egyptians with long hair, there's no wig. Exactly. Go on, you're saying.
Yeah, I was just saying no wig, please. It's no wig.
And this dude here, you just feel sorry for him because you know he's been waiting the longest. He's been waiting the longest, and he's about to go next. But he's like, his will's been broken. He might have been there for like a day and a half now, just sitting in line, waiting for dude to
get his first twist.
Well, like, we don't, like, come on, man. The cultural continuity is crazy. Like, you cannot show me an equivalent. You cannot show me an equivalent Europoid version of this. You can't show me an equivalent Europoid version of this. This is an African scene.
First of all, the hair.
You know what's really crazy, and this is just what we were talking about a second ago. You know what's really crazy about this whole thing? Yeah, let's put aside the fact that we've just
Mhm.
proven that their hair is, African hair and it's standing up. And I mean, that's all. The fact that we as Africans have to sit down, look at an image of people who are clearly dark brown skinned, and justify that they're black. Like, where else in the world does this happen? Where else in the world?
Can
If
you
these
imagine?
people were cream, yeah, if their skin color was cream or wheat colored, do you think there'd be any of this discussion taking place right now? Do you think there'd be any argument? There would be no argument. They would go, "Oh, look, these are
No.
Arabs." That'll be it. It'd be end of discussion. What are you crazy black people talking about? You can
Or
clearly see Arabs. you know,
or if the
it's
texture of hair was
yeah,
different, they'll be using it all the time. Oh no, their
yeah,
skin is brown, but look at
yeah.
the texture of hair. It looks like Greek texture, so they're not black. Those we wouldn't even have been able to argue.
Just imagine, yeah, if just imagine if their hair, like this is, and once again, this is what this stream's about. Show me a single image, because people that have commented on this, usual kind of like we was kangs, yeah, and all that kind of rubbish, yeah. People have obviously commented on it, and my simple response is just like, cool, all right, we was kangs, whatever. You'll feel free to direct me to an image of someone with long flowing blonde hair or long flowing red hair or even long flowing black hair, just like long
Mhm.
flowing, like European style curtains. I want to see someone show me curtains. Yeah. That's the old school hairstyle that they all used to rock. Yeah. Show me curtains. Because we have clear pictures of people who are of that phenotype in ancient Kemet, but they're not Kemetic. They're shown with their hair tied back with pointy beards. Yeah,
Mhm.
and they're called Syrians or other ethnicities in the surrounding vicinity or from the north. Yeah, they had different features, they had different physical traits to the ancient Egyptians, and they were physically distinctive from them. It's
Exactly.
Tracy, thank you for the donation. She said they were not black, they just had very dark skin.
Exactly, Trace.
Yeah, that's the argument, it's like, oh dear. And there's another
Very
donation from
Caucasian.
Saladin. We'll come on to your one in a moment.
Saladin. Hi,
Saladin just
Saladin.
Saladin said the lie is so deep an otherwise rational, intelligent person can see an image of a black person and pretend that it's a Eurasian with a tan and a wig. And on top of that, mock the person who points out the fact that these are black people. Like, can you imagine? I've posted this image and people are posting "We was Kangs" on there, basically
Yeah,
saying these people aren't black. Do you understand the mental? Like, I can't imagine myself being on the other side of the fence, seeing
yeah.
ain't like Eurasian people, well, a picture of blonde-headed and red-haired Eurasians with pink skin and red flowing hair, and sitting down going, "Oh, we was Vikings. Oh, these people are clearly black. What's wrong with you?" Like, what? You have to be really mentally not okay. Yeah, I don't know.
Exactly.
It's weird. It's very, very weird behavior.
Extremely weird.
All right, so
All right. Mm-hmm.
let's get into it. So, okay, what we wanted to do today, like we said, we've gone off on a bit of a tangent, but it's just kind of like laying the scene, really, isn't it? We have these discussions. We're not going to take we don't take anything too seriously, because it's kind of like we've always said, ancient Kemet being an African civilization doesn't need to be proved. It proves itself. All we need to do is every now and then just kind of like enjoy what they've given us, enjoy the artifacts, enjoy what we can learn from them, and enjoy the cultural continuity. Because actually, that's what I enjoy more than anything. Because the more I do my research and the more I dig, the more I realize just how African and how
Yeah,
similar a society they are to modern day Africans. Is so there's not much divergence in terms of anything that they
exactly.
do, man. And I
Yeah,
just
exactly.
enjoy that.
One of my favorite series to do was the cultural continuity series I did, right?
Mm,
And all the videos you've done as well with the cultural continuity. It's always so exciting. You're like, these people
mm,
are so African
mm.
that it's ridiculous to deny it at this point. Like everything they do is so African. And
Mm,
And I like something Diop said, like to understand Africa, you have to understand ancient Egypt, and to understand ancient Egypt, you have to understand Africa. Without that, you end up with people who come and say, "Oh, this is very strange behavior for a Caucasian people. Uh, it's why are they doing their hair like this? Why are they wearing wigs that are always afro? Why are they
Exactly.
not wearing anything to protect their skin? Oh, this must be because they adapted to the climate, right? And all these other cultural things that are so odd to Europeans. But when you look at it from an African
Exactly.
perspective, you're like, well, this is normal African behavior.
Exactly.
So, very
It just
exciting.
makes
Oh,
sense. It just makes sense, you know. It just makes sense. It's just like, I don't know. It's just how can there be that level of disconnect from something? It's like I look at the often, you know, you look at. I always used to find the kind of like when I used to see Hollywood depictions of ancient Egyptians, and they do
mhm.
stupid things like they you know the Nemes headdress. They just put it on every single Egyptian soldier is wearing the pharaonic headdress. It's like what that's no, no. I'm sorry, not everyone wore the Nemes. Okay, literally only the pharaoh wore it. Yeah, literally. Yeah, but every soldier's wearing it because they want to point out they're Egyptian. And then you get modern Egyptians. No, and no disrespect, yeah, but
Yeah,
it just looks like cosplay when they wear ancient Egyptian stuff. You know, they put on
it
the costume. Oh, look at us, we're Egyptian. It's just like you look like a cosplayer. You look like you're about to go to Comic Con 2024. That's what you look like. You're dressed for. This is
I just
not
wanna
your culture. It doesn't fit you. You know, why have you got that stupid wig on your head? And why are you wearing clothes that clearly look like they're from the Persian Empire or something like that? Look at this image that's on the screen at the moment. These men are naked apart from their loincloth. Yeah?
mhm,
That's African.
yeah,
Yeah? That's as tribal as it gets. I know you don't like that word tribal. Yeah, but these people were as tribal as it gets. Yeah, they're wearing less than
yeah,
your modern day Maasai Kalenjin. They're wearing less. Yeah. They're wearing less. Yeah. Than the most
exactly.
tribal tribe of Africa right now. Yeah. They ain't all got shoes on their feet, yeah, that come up to their knees and helmets and nah, they just all they got
Bare feet.
is a skirt around their waist and they're good. Yeah,
They're
this is what
good.
you
They
call
go do their
African
hair
culture.
and they're good.
Yeah, in the sun. This is outdoor. Yeah, this barber. Yeah, you want shade? You sit under the tree like these two dudes have been waiting for a long time for their trim.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah, yeah, yeah, yeah, yeah, yeah.
you sit under the
The
tree.
tree, people, the tree.
Yeah,
It always happens under a tree.
yeah.
It always happens under a tree
It
because
has
of the
to.
shade and all. So, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. You want shade and sit your you sit under the tree. Other than that, these men are sitting in the sun. Yeah, sitting in the sun. Let that sink in. Do I need to say it in Egypt? Yeah, they're sitting in the sun in Egypt, waiting for a trim. Yeah, let that sink in.
Yeah.
All right, that's let's, I mean, it doesn't get more African than that, man. Let's be real. All right, so all right, we need to start the video. I'm having this is what happens when I
Yeah.
get online with you, man. We just end up having a load of fun. Um let's let's go. I'm just gonna hide that comment now really quickly because actually this video that we're about to get into
Mhm.
is actually someone's just posted a comment about Grassy C, who
Yeah.
actually is getting a feature today. So RJ Mackenzie, you are tapped in today. I can clearly see. Basically, Grassy C is a channel that I only found out the other day about because they did a response to Metatron, which Metatron left a comment on, and then you messaged me, Keulimika, and said, "Oh, look, he's on here having a discussion with this dude," and I was like, "Okay,
Yeah.
cool." And then I went to Grassy C's channel. I was like, "Hey, nice channel. I like it. I like the stuff that
Mhm.
he does here." So basically one of the videos I wanted to tackle was a Eurocentral. I will say Eurocentrist. He's sort of a bit of a mental case, but anyway, he's a Eurocentrist called Robert Sepaha. Okay, um, And the reason I want to tackle him is not because he's mental, but because actually he's on that really extreme end of Eurocentrism. You know, that really like crazy extreme end of Eurocentrism. He's right there. And you'll note when they want to attack Afrocentrism, that's what they always do. They always go for the outlier, just like what with what Metatron done. You know, he went for the person who made the comment about Cleopatra, you know, on Twitter. You know, the random person.
Yeah,
That's what
that's
they
right.
always do. Yeah. So we're gonna do the same. We're gonna say, okay, cool. Let's flip. We think we've done enough to prove ancient Egypt being a black civilization. Okay. Case in point on the screen. We feel like we've done more than enough because we've got 100,000 arguments that we could present. Well, maybe that's an exaggeration. We've got 1,000, not 100,000. We've got 1,000 arguments that we could present that are as strong as this one with these dudes getting their hair done. Yeah. What do you have? So let's take someone who's an extreme Eurocentrist and let's see the arguments that they have. Let's see if they hold weight. Let's see if they say anything that leaves us convinced and says, okay, cool. Well, actually, we need to all start taking notice because white Egypt could be a thing. Yeah. They could be white. Yeah. Like, let's be willing to let's be willing to
be open-minded.
to put our understanding, our beliefs, our research on the line and see if they actually can raise any decent arguments. Now, the good thing about the video we're about to watch is that Grassy C has already edited down his video to the main points, which is good because it means that we don't have to sit through.
Thank you, Grassy C.
Yeah, thank you, because I didn't want to do that. So he's already done that. So we're going to kind of let it play and cut in, have a bit of discussion about certain different things, and just see where we kind of see where we come out at the other end. Okay, so that's kind of what we're going to be doing today. We good to get started?
Yeah, we're good.
Oliver just said, don't give them ideas. That's what I'm always saying to this guy. I'm always like, okay, please stop giving them ideas. He comes up with these like, I was like, don't give them any ideas, man, please, because these people need help. You'll say something in jest, I'm telling you, right, and then give it a month, and that will be their running mantra. I'm telling you.
Probably believes that aliens built Benin. He probably does. There was some Aryan influence.
Okay.
Until the death of Cleopatra in 30 BC. I also covered the meaning of the origins of the term Hellenes in a prior video, which I'll also link to in the description, so I won't cover that again now. While some people consider this period as a time of foreign colonization and rule over Egypt, which is located on the African continent, but in actuality, Egyptian demographics traditionally share affinities with the Mediterranean region stretching back the entire Holocene, rather than having anything to do with sub-Saharan Africa.
So you heard the proposition there. Sorry, I had to just cut in there so everyone's clear. He's saying ancient Egyptian dynasties throughout the dynastic era, not just from the ancient, from the Greco-Roman invasion and settling, but actually the entire dynastic era was a Mediterranean race that shared no affinity, nothing. They don't share anything in common. I look at the irony of this image that's on the screen. Shared nothing in common with sub-Saharan Africa. They love that phrase. Okay, sub-Saharan Africa creates the phrase that creates the separation without saying anything. We're talking about Egypt here, not sub-Saharan Africa, geographic distance, but anyway. Sorry, did you want to say something, Keulimika?
No, I just wanted to point out that this on the screen that Gracie put is an Egyptian queen.
Yes,
she looks so black that they ended up justifying that, these were Nubian queens because the Middle Kingdom kings were so much into Nubian queens, right? But they have no proof for that. They have no evidence. These are Egyptian queens, and this is how they were depicted: short, kinky afro hair, right?
Queen Kawit, I believe this is. Queen Kawit,
this is
wife of Mentuhotep, I believe. Mentuhotep II, I think.
And
thoroughly thoroughly a black Egyptian woman. No evidence to suggest that she's from elsewhere. They like to give these people labels of Nubian when they're indisputably black African.
Exactly.
And the only reason this woman's indisputably black African's got nothing to do with her features, because lots of Egyptians are shown with those features. It's got to do with the fact that the hair is cut short and shows the kinkiness. If the hair was long, they would be saying that this is another white Egyptian, and the pictures of her as black are just showing her in some kind of divine state or something like that. That's exactly what they'd be arguing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So anyway, going back to the point that Robert was making there, is that they have nothing to do with sub-Saharan Africa. And just to be clear, in case you're not aware, okay, no such thing as sub-Saharan Africa. In fact, that is probably the most offensive slur you could use on this channel. Okay, no such thing. Africans have always been a trans-Saharan people. Okay, we've never been restricted to south of the Sahara, and we're not even restricted to this modern day. Okay, there are several black African groups that are either purely North African or span the Sahara from above it to beneath it quite effortlessly as well. Okay, most of those nomadic groups, I could name them: the Beja, the Nubians, the Taboo, the Haratin, the Fula. These are all black African, the Tuareg, all black African groups that span the Sahara. Okay, so yeah, sub-Saharan Africans is a misnomer. It doesn't exist.
Exactly, it's a misnomer, and you did a great live on that, right? Like debunking that entire idea. Someone says, like, a Keto says, there is an invisible wall. Exactly. It's like there is a wall that goes all the way, like to West Africa, to East Africa, to the Horn there, that says black people can't enter this place because it's North Africa. It's nonsensical. The idea is it's just a myth. And even we have plenty of documentation to prove that this was not the case, that it was never a barrier, that there was such a thing as sub-Saharan Africa. Nothing like that.
Exactly.
Yeah, what did you want to
say? Even I was gonna say, even modern Mediterranean North Africans as well, a lot of them are mixed race. This is the thing. I was talking to you just before the live stream started about the population of Libya. Okay, Libyans have the people of pure black ancestry, like in Sirte, in the city of Sirte, where Gaddafi was from. That had a very high concentration of people of the Taboo tribe. So it had a very high concentration of very, very black Africans in Sirte, which is one of the reasons why they did a complete genocide in that city. But I'm not going to go into that right now. But outside from that, even the native Libyans, a lot of native Libyans had a phenotype very similar to Horn Africans. Very similar to Horn Africans. They were black as well, just like people in North Sudan. A lot of people got this kind of misunderstanding that people in North Sudan are Arab and people in South Sudan are black. No, people in North Sudan are black. People in South Sudan are black. It's just that you have a phenotypic difference and a skin difference and a religious difference that creates this kind of divide. But they're all black people. They're all different shades of black. So it's like, yeah, that's just another thing to go into. It's like even a lot of North Africans who even classify or don't see themselves as black are black. They might be mixed, they might be somewhat diluted, but many of them carry very recent black African ancestry, and it's obvious to see when you see them. Most mixed race people in North Africa will get mistaken for being North African. That's just the fact,
Yeah.
Let's go.
That's the fact.
Whether or not the ancient Egyptians were sub-Saharan.
So, by the way, right now speaking, that's Grassy C. So don't get confused. When you're watching a video, you've got to see a bit of Robert's stuff, then Grassy C will respond. Since I've nicked his video, I'm going to obviously let you hear his responses as well. Okay.
African. It's impossible to deny that the Hellenes were foreigners. They say it themselves in a lot of their literature, including people like the Hyksos, who are not Hellenistic, but they come from the Mediterranean as well, or at least the Middle East.
So he's just talking about the separation there. I want to just point out a really good point. I'm sorry, this is such a good point, and let's. I'm gonna go in a little bit on this point because this is such a good point. All right, so Lestat Black pointed out. He said, "Good point, Macy." So Macy maybe even said this first. But what he said is the Sahara is only a barrier if you're not melanated. If I had that little horn sound effect, dance,
yeah, that's
I'll be doing that right now. Sub-Saharan is a misnomer. Exactly that. And this is the thing, they love to flip terms on us. It's never been a barrier to people of black skin, the Sahara, because we can withstand the sun.
Yeah.
It's always only been a barrier to invaders because they cannot withstand going beyond the Sahara or into the Sahara, into the tropical Africa. So when people put up these, it's such a good point, isn't it? When people will put up these maps, these skin kind of like melanation maps, and they talk about the fact that, oh yeah, this proves that, you know, pale skin is much more adaptable for cold regions. And no, it doesn't. The only thing those maps prove is that there are certain parts of the earth that white people can't survive. Otherwise, the whole earth would be white. That's all those maps prove. Where you see parts of the earth where it's highly densely melanated and white people don't exist is because literally they can't survive there. That's the only reason why. Historically, they couldn't survive there. So what we should actually be talking about is supra-Saharan, which I know people use that term, but we shouldn't be using that term for us. We should be using that term for them. So rather than calling white North Africans, we should be calling them supra-Saharan Africans, making the point that you guys are blocked by the Sahara, not us.
Not us.
Africans, there's Africans, there's us, yeah. We're Africans. So when you use the term African, you're talking about the indigenous Africans. When you use the term supra-Saharan Africans, we're talking about the Africans that can't cross the Sahara. Sorry, that's such a good point. So I'm on that one. So Tracy and Lestat, Macy and Lestat, that little link up, I'm loving it. That's my new one. That is literally my new one. So yeah, white North Africans or Arab North Africans, you are now supra-Saharan Africans. That's what you are, because you can't cross the Sahara. We're Africans, you're supra-Saharan Africans. Boom. Come on. Sorry, what a good point. So did you have anything to add?
No, I have nothing to add here, but just that it's a great point. It's actually something I never thought about until this great comment mentioned it. I was like, okay, that's true, actually. So, great point.
Yes, that's definitely, I'm using that moving forward. Yeah. So Africans, sorry, no such thing as sub-Saharans. We're Africans. You're supra-Saharan Africans. Okay, love it. Okay, let's go.
Picture that I have on the screen depicts a Nubian queen in Egypt whose line stretches far beyond, deep into the Egyptians, all the way to Tutankhamun. So I'd like to see him debunk the Nubian queens that were there in the earliest times of Egypt.
So I'm just going to quickly pause there because I want to jump on the comment you made earlier, Kueli. You still there? So I was making sure
I'm still there. Yeah.
Just the point that she's not a Nubian. I think he's saying that obviously just in respect to the fact that it's reported that she's a Nubian, but what's obviously not reported by the Egyptologists is that this kind of classification of Kawit, Ashayet, and Kemsit being classified as Nubian is not supported. It's not anthropologically supported. It's not contemporaneously. It's not written on any of the walls that they're Nubian.
Exactly.
The only evidence we have is that they were indigenous Egyptians.
They do the same for Nefertari because she has such a very dark skin.
And
they
Queen
say, oh, she might have been Nubian, of Nubian origin, because of so many black skin depiction. Someone came in the comment section of my video where I went over the 18th dynasty, and they were like, oh, can you show me a picture of Queen Nefertari where she's depicted as black when she was alive? Because the black depictions is after she was dead, and then they deified her. I was like, that's not true because we have pictures of her with her son. That's one. A lot of pictures of her with her son, but they would always come and say, no, it's because she's deified by her son. So I was
They're
like,
lying.
everything is good for you to come in and just deny what you're seeing. So, oh no, the practice is actually deification, isn't
Yeah.
it?
Well,
Now,
actually, I went when I went to Neues Museum in Berlin. They have statuettes of her all built during her lifetime, and they're all black.
See,
So not even just wall studies, but her statuettes were very, very dark, very, 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 very dark statuettes of her. So we have numerous depictions of Queen Amos Nefertari, and they're all consistently very dark brown or black, every single one of them. So yeah, this is what you call their kind of pseudoscientific, and what they're doing is they're flipping the argument. It's a pseudoscientific argument because they'll then try and share you images of some either a different Nefertari or something they found maybe when they did this with I'm kind of mixing arguments here, but they did this with Queen T, because Queen T is the same as Nefertari, always depicted dark brown in all of their depictions. But then they pick out some later artwork that was done 200 years after she passed, where she was
they'll
like,
give you a statue that they have cleaned.
Yeah.
The statue that they've cleaned up.
Yeah.
Somehow the cleaning process removes the original color. So strange.
Yes. Big shout out to Black Rampage 2. Thank you very much, my brother, for the donation. He says, salute to you kings. What's your opinion on BBC finding Cleopatra's sister Arsinoe? Their tests found they shared an African mother. Oh, wow.
Interesting. So thank you for the donation.
Yeah, I appreciate it.
I didn't know about this. No, I have to check that out as well. Interesting.
Because we already know that they knew Arsinoe was part black, because when they found her remains, they basically had an African skull. So Carolyn Wilkinson, who I covered on my live stream, I think last week, she's the reconstruction artist. She was the one who actually said, look, we've got the skull of Arsinoe here, and she's definitely either black or got heavy black African ancestry, because her skull is X, Y, and Z. And she pointed out the fact that it was dolichocephalic and other different traits that made it definitely this is an African person. This is a black, she actually used the word, this is a black African person. And this is another thing, you have to be so careful just saying African now, because she could say African meaning black African, but then they'd twist it and they say, oh, she meant North African. That's what they like to do. They've done that.
That's what they usually like to do.
They do that a lot. So anyway,
she was African.
So they know that Arsinoe was very heavily black. And actually, hold this thought, because I've got a live stream coming. I might do it tomorrow, but it's definitely coming this week. I've got a live stream coming where I actually think that even the Fayum mummies were black, and actually I think the portraits are fake. Hold that thought. Hold that thought, because I'm coming with receipts. So I'm looking forward to doing that live stream, because there's a lot.
I think I know one of the things you're gonna bring up, because I saw one video,
and
I was like, wait a minute. So even those, okay, do the live stream, man.
Yeah, they are a tricky bunch, these Egyptologists. I tell you right now, they are a super tricky bunch, man. But I'm sorry, I'm just kind of skirting the comments, just making sure I haven't missed anyone else's. There's loads. Thank you guys for being so interactive today. We're not making a lot of progress. This is what happens, but we're having a lot of fun. Let's carry on going. So yeah, this is I mean, what's beautiful is what's on the screen is exactly what I was talking about earlier anyway. So I remember I was talking about these maps which show this one's not the exact one, but they show maps where they show you kind of like melanation, and it's kind of like, oh yeah, well, this part, it will show you kind of this band across the screen where it will kind of show you where the equator is and all the dark-skinned people across the equator. It's like, yeah, all the dark-skinned people across the equator, just because you can't survive there. That's the only reason why. It's got no other reason. They talk about this world like we don't know world history. Like, oh, all these races just kind of like settled nicely into these different areas of the globe because based purely on their skin complexion. It's like, no, that's not how the story goes.
Because they are so backwards that they don't move out of their region of origin. Unlike us, we go explore. Like, what? Like
their revisionism is just, it's just like, I mean, your story, that story works if we literally all lobotomize ourselves and completely forget literally the last 20 years when you guys have do nothing but bombing the Middle East. And like, come on, this is not how it works. It works that invasion after invasion, that's literally what's been taking place. So yeah, anyways, it's just, yeah, super Saharan. So I'm going off on that one again. Let me let it play. These super Saharans, man, I'm telling you, man, you can't do nothing with them.
Just separated from North Africa by a massive desert known as the Sahara. So
okay, already we have a problem. The Sahara Desert was green as early as 5000 BC. There was water, rain, the same animals that you'd find in sub-Saharan Africa. And this has been proven and is part of mainstream science today. And so looking at the Sahara Desert as this boundary that black people could never cross is bunk.
Cleopatra and her ancestors stem from Greek, or more accurately, Macedonian stock, which is located on the northern part of the Mediterranean. Ancient Egyptian records speak to a common Mediterranean origin that predates the Ptolemaic dynasty.
Okay, so what? I'm going to pause it there. you heard what he said, didn't you? He was like, what? You know what I was coming there. Sorry. Yeah, you got to need to, let's have a receipt, please. Yeah, you've just made a massive claim there. You're saying, actually, before the Macedonian, the Ptolemaic dynasty, we know that Greeks were still running the show. Yeah, the Mediterraneans.
Yeah, they have a common origin.
Common origin. Okay, post your receipts, please. Please, for the love of God, I want to see if he says anything to substantiate this.
Yeah, let's hear what he has to say to back that claim up.
Sorry, it will go.
The video playing? Okay.
I pressed play and So it's playing up. Okay, let's try again.
I wonder what these records are. I hope they're not just another myth pushed onto another myth, like how Cyclopea was thought to have been built by Cyclops, even though we know now it was built by humans, or other myths that humans invent when they can't explain the past.
Atlantean myth, as passed down via Plato, is an ancient Egyptian tale whose genesis occurred so far back in history that, according to the Egyptian priest of Sais, the classical Greeks could not even recollect it.
What he just said is funny. The myth
was it there
that he described.
I want to put it there. Did you want to say something?
Yeah. So as you just saw there, this guy had no actual evidence. You remember what he said at the beginning? He had like ancient Egyptian. What did he say? Ancient Egyptians records show us that they have a common origin in the Mediterranean with the Macedonian Greeks and all. And now he talks about an Atlantean myth, which is what he bases his claim off of. If I was doing that, they would call me all sorts of names and be like, oh, see, this is what they have as evidence. We have literal evidence of ancient Egyptians claiming that their gods and ancestors came from the south. Their origin is in the south. We have the archaeology of the region tells you they came from further south in the Nile Valley. Nothing else. But we have to believe a guy that goes off on a myth. It goes like, yeah, there was this Atlantean myth that was passed down by Plato. And notice how he shows you no records, nothing. Believe me, because I said so, is what he's basically doing.
And that's what they always do. And I mean, just to add to this as well, what a lot of these people do is they use kind of like Greek names and Greek pronunciations of ancient places. He talked about, the Sayite or the Sais, town of Sais. Okay, Sais is a nome in Lower Egypt. Okay, that's an African city that you're talking about there. Yeah, he thinks because it has a Greek name, Sais, Tanis. These are just Greek pronunciations. Crocodilopolis. These are just, these are all places that exist, but they're African, regardless of what the Greeks called them. Thebes is in Upper Egypt, and that even relates back to Atlantis as well. So you're speaking about the Atlantean myth. Atlantis, for everything that we know, the closest thing to Atlantis that we've got is West Africa. Okay, if you look at maps from the 17th, 16th century, even that famous map that was done by, who was the oldest map we have? I can't remember. But anyway, that famous map that was done by one of those Greek kind of like historians, I can't remember who it was. I'm not sure I don't think it was Herodotus. It might have been Strabo or something like that. You could Google it. Strabo? It might have been Strabo. His map even shows that Atlantis, or Atlas as it was called then, is located in West Africa. They all show west of Africa, Atlas. Okay, so this place that we call Atlantis, all that we know is that it's somewhere located to the west of the African continent. And that's where the Atlanteans were, as far as if we want to go with credible, actual, researchable evidence. Okay.
Yeah, and did you see what they found? The circular thing they found it. Yeah, they were like, what? And when you pair that with what the Greeks are telling you about Atlantis, how it was west of Egypt in West Africa there. So if we want to go off of that,
yeah, absolutely. It's like you can't just throw
Atlanteans.
Exactly. You can't just throw out the name, the word. He throws out the word Atlantis, and because of the biases that have existed for a long time, people think, oh, Atlantis, oh, great white civilization like Rome. No, sorry, but no. Okay, Atlantis, for all we know, Atlantis was in West Africa. Okay, and this is like putting the Reichardt structure aside and the fact that that's a very good match for everything in terms of the description of how Atlantis was described. Putting that all aside, the maps show Atlas being the west coast of Africa. That's why we call it the Atlantic Ocean. It's not called the Atlantic Ocean because of America or because of a lost continent. It's called the Atlantic Ocean because Atlantia was on the west coast of Africa. That's why it was renamed from the Ethiopian Sea to the Atlantic Ocean, because Atlas was located on the west coast of Africa. That's why it's called. Remember this, we orient ourselves from Europe, Asia, and Africa. That's where we orient ourselves from. So we're going to name the ocean, the furthest bit of land that's closest to that ocean, which is why it turned from the Ethiopian Sea to the Atlantic Ocean. So even using Atlantis and trying to say it with some kind of, oh, well, the Atlanteans handed down their civilization. Yeah, maybe they might have. Africans are known to push civilizations from one place of Africa to the other. It's got nothing to do with you, Robert.
Exactly.
Yeah? Jeez.
So the king is teaching.
Okay, let's keep moving. Oh, if it's gonna play, come on.
The video is slowing down.
Yeah, I'm tempted to refresh because this feels like it'll get worse before it gets better.
Yeah.
Man, will I lose my stream if I refresh the main page that we're on?
I don't know.
Thing has already been debunked like 100 times, but let's see what his story says.
story states that both Sais, a city in Egypt, and Athens, the capital of Greece, were founded by the same patron goddess, Athena, or known to the Egyptians as Neith.
Just a really quick one to jump in there. The Greeks inherited Neith from, or Athena from Sais, not the other way around. Sais predates Greece by 1,000 years at least. Okay, and the worship of Neith in Sais. Martin Bernal goes into this in detail in Black Athena. So this is once again, you're trying to now spin something that's got nothing to do with Europe and trying to spin it. Oh yes, it was the joint founding of these two. No, it wasn't. No, it wasn't. Ancient Egypt had these deities before Greece was even a figment of anyone's imagination. Okay, exactly. And this predates the Mycenaeans and it predates the Grecians. So please do not try and come with that joint founding business, because no one said that. You're just making it up because you know that the Greeks borrowed. I'm not going to say stole, because the Greeks actually did give credit to Egypt, so they didn't steal. It's only modern Europeans that still borrowed that deity from Sais. We know that much for sure.
Exactly.
I'm just going to give a shout out to Tammy as well. 1 second, get the comment on the screen. All of my PC, everything's working fine on my PC, apart from this streaming screen, which is just really struggling. I don't know what is going on.
Thank you for the donation, Tammy.
Tammy's made a $5 donation. Thank you very much. Shout out to the young melanated gods. You're waking the people up to the truth of our story. Thank you. Thank you. And
thank you. Thank you too. Yeah.
All right, should we keep it moving?
Let's go. Let's listen to this.
Man. Well, it's gotta come. Don't worry, guys. Just bear with it. It's doing this weird thing. So when you do this, does it stream it from your PC? I'm gonna try. You know what? Let me disconnect it. Let me stop the share and then I'll start it again.
Feel free to, yeah. Because last time I had a problem with the video, I removed it from the sharing, and then I reshared it.
I'm gonna reshare it. All right, we'll just go through some. Do you mind going through some comments, and I'll quickly get that re-uploaded. Thanks.
Cool. So I've got to go through the latest ones. Going back to the blacks, in Sirte, Libya, you even see the death of all black people in Libyan captives of ancient Egypt. Exactly. You see those images even in ancient Egypt of Libyans being a mix. Like you see very dark brown people, coal black people, but they wanted to believe that Libya was this all white place from the get-go, which is nonsensical, because, you know, like, they found a black mummy. The oldest mummy they found in North Africa was of a black child. So they can't say North Africa was not black, that they didn't have black people. Like this guy tried to say that it was completely separated from sub-Saharan, so-called sub-Saharan Africa. Well, it's the other way around. We've seen an influx of people coming from outside of Africa and invading, and because they can't cross the Sahara, they can't reach the internal part of Africa. But Africans, black Africans, were already dominating all those places on the continent. So, yeah. Have you got the video?
I do, and it seems to be working fine from what I can see. So I'm going to try and play it and forward it a few steps.
Yeah, all right, let's go.
Where it was. It played and then it just...
Cleopatra in 30 BC.
Let me just quickly forward it to where we
Other myths that humans invent when they can't explain the past.
Atlantean myth as Neith.
Okay, here we go.
It was said that she founded Athens in 9600 BC and Egypt in 8600 BC. The Greek.
What in the world does this have to do with anything? It's just some made-up religion by the Greeks.
Greek historian Solon learned from the Egyptian priests around 600 BC that Athens was founded 9,000 years before their time. And according to them, Old Kingdom Egypt began 1,000 years after that, which would have been around 8,600 BC.
Sorry, I need to bring that back.
While many will be
what's his reference for that? Sorry. He's saying that Athens. So he's saying that Athens, yeah, not just Greek, but Athens, the capital, was founded 9,000 BC before ancient Kemet, before everything. Greece was first. That's what this his rational depend. I want to see what his source is because it's important. If he sourced something, let's give him credit. Okay, what's his source?
Let's go. Keep a straight face.
Solon learned from the Egyptian priests around 600 BC.
He said something about Solon. Did anyone catch that?
Yeah.
I'm so sorry. I have to get
Solon
this because he
learned from an Egyptian priest.
That the world of anthropology needs to hear this theory. Okay.
And Egypt in 8,600 BC. The Greek.
What in the world does this have to do with anything?
Sorry guys.
It's just some made-up religion by the Greeks.
Greek historian Solon learned from the Egyptian priest.
Greek historian Solon. Yeah, we need to do our research there because apparently Solon is kicking the kicking the knowledge here. Yeah, Greece was first. Okay, Greece was first. Forget the fact that in this time that Athens was founded, they didn't invent their own language. Okay, they didn't invent their own script. Okay, they inherited their language, they inherited their script. They didn't invent their own system of religion because they inherited that from ancient Egypt as well. They didn't create anything. They didn't build anything in this time. They didn't do anything, but they were founded. There's no artifacts. There's nothing. Yeah, nothing in that whole region before 800 BC. But apparently, according to Robert, no. According to Robert and Solon. Yeah, 9,000 BC. Yeah, 9,000 BC is the establishment date for Greece, and it was these Greeks who, after establishing their own civilization with no writing, no language, no artifacts, no anything, then went on to establish ancient Egypt and bring their superior technology that they hadn't tried out yet at home. Awesome.
They said Solon is a Greek historian.
Yeah,
but what I found here is that Solon is an Athenian politician and lawmaker. He's no historian. He's a poet. He wrote some poems. So this is who we have to believe. So Herodotus, they call him a clown. They say, why are you believing Herodotus? He is not a credible source. But this guy, a poet, who are the poets? People who are known to embellish things and make things out of the ordinary. This is who we have to believe, right? This is his source. So basically, he lied.
I've never heard anyone reference Solon before. Sorry, go on.
Yeah, like he's basically lying that Solon is a historian. He's not a historian. That's one. So we caught this guy on a lie, trying to. So this is the stuff we have to deal with. You see. Imagine Diop and Obenga. This is the kind of stuff they had to deal with as well. You know, you've done your PhD. You are a scholar, and someone comes with this argument to present in a serious scholarly debate. We're on YouTube, so it's cool. But like, guys, come on, like, respect your intellectual opponents. What is this?
Just making stuff up as he goes along. Literally, that's what. Let's just make it up as we go. He said something that sounds. I like the sound of that. But lo and behold, he's a politician and a poet who was probably just writing some. He probably didn't even say it seriously. It was probably like, probably said it in some soliloquy or something. Oh, Greece, we have the wisdom since. It seems like it's been around for 9,000 years, and he's taken that. And just
you know what I think they're doing as well. You know what I think they're doing as well. It's because you see, ancient Greece has been advertised out there as this rational culture. So whenever you put the word Greek historian together, people just believe it. oh yes, probably some ancient dude who knew so much about history, and so he wrote down that history. But a lot of people don't know that the ancient Greeks, it's a handful of philosophers that were very innovative. The rest of the population was like, man, first of all, like X these guys who are coming to destroy our culture. Right? Like, isn't it they killed Socrates? The others had to hide, telling him hide, run away by politicians like Solon. So it's just
all of their best philosophers were trained in Egypt, and they don't hide that either. So all of their best and most highly prized philosophers, Stolen Legacy, George G.M. James, if you haven't read that book, all of their best philosophers were trained in Egypt. Okay, that's where they got their knowledge from. And like I said, they weren't shy about actually sharing that as well. It's only the modern. I'm not sure if I did it on this live stream. I bought the Hermetica because I wanted to start reading that. And obviously the Hermetica is the books of Hermes Trismegistus and Thoth, which is basically the writings of Tahuti. Okay, so they've taken the writings of the Kemetic god Tahuti, and they've translated them, the Emerald Tablets, basically. Yeah. If you read the first 50 pages of the Hermetica, the translation that I have, the first 50 pages basically is written by the English people who have done the translation, and they spent the first 50 pages disparaging Egypt and saying how wonderful and intelligent these people are, and they don't understand why these Greek philosophers have given so much credit to Egypt when they obviously wrote it, but for some reason it was within their, it made them more popular to say that they had got the knowledge from Egypt, but this came from the minds. It's like they're taking the testimony of the philosophers, which basically say, we did not write this. This is a translation of stuff we got from Egypt. And they're taking that and they're saying, poppycock, you made it up. Don't give those Africans any credit for the stuff that you create. It's like, these people are insane. And we're not talking about like rampant Eurocentrists here. We're not talking about like obvious open racists like Siegelman here and Samuel Norton. We're talking about like literal, these are like moderate ones, but they're so racist. It's unbelievable. So I'm going to quickly, before I let you jump in, we've had 2 donations and I've had to kind of ignore them because you chat so much. Nerd Large, thank you for your support, brother. You're always here. He said, great content as usual, Kings. My avatar usually comes from a 90s American sci-fi show, Sequest 2032, which depicted Atlantis as a black civilization. Fantastic. Thank you for sharing. And thank you. Another donation from DL, $10. Thank you very much, my brother. We should not be going through this argumentative exchanges still, since our older scholars, many of whom are now transitioned into ancestry, have done much of this work already. Absolutely. How much of our time did we spend just quoting Diop and Yochanan and James and all of the great scholars like Obenga? We just spend most of our time quoting them, let's be real. But you know what? It is a bit of an honor. I was thinking about this today, just kind of like looking at the very privileged position I find myself in, and yourself, obviously, Keulimika, the amount of people, Mr. Imhotep, and actually there's all these new channels kind of like popping up. And it's just a real privilege, because it's like I could see they use a lot of the research that we do and put new arguments forward, and it's just like, this is what we're supposed to do. This is what we're supposed to do. We're supposed to build off each other's work. We're supposed to, I mean, it's just like so often now, I'm in my mind, I've got a video that I want to do or topic I want to cover, and then you'll cover it, or Without History will cover it, or Mr. Imhotep will cover it, or people are just kind of like, even there's a new channel. What's the one I shared with you today? No, that's not a new channel. Know Thyself. They've been around for ages, but they've done a fantastic breakdown of the Metatron argument. It was so amazing. So good. If you haven't seen that, by the way, guys, look for a channel called Know Thyself.
Know Thyself.
The video is called, what's it called?
The video is great.
It's called A Message to Metatron, I think. But they do such an excellent dissection. Really just scholarly and fantastic. I really enjoyed watching it. I saw that this morning. I shared it with you instantly. But it's just great because like, this is what we're supposed to be doing. We're supposed to be leaning on each other's research and building a foundation for what I believe is the future, which I've already shared with you. And I believe the future is our own education systems. We're not supposed to share education with, conquerors, colonizers, invaders. We're not supposed to. All those people out there pushing for Black History Month and inclusion in the education system. I'm a former educator. I'm not interested. I'll tell you that right now. I am not interested. Yeah, I'm interested in us having our own systems. There's enough resource on the internet, and the way schools are being there's so much remote schooling. We do not need their permission to teach our history. All we need to do is get ourselves on a shared platform, and we can get our history dissected to our people. So go on.
I don't know if you know the guy called Akala. One day he was talking at the Oxford, that Oxford platform where they call people.
Yeah.
And he was mentioning the fact that when he was growing up, there were in one of the cities in the UK. He said the people from the Caribbean, like the Black community in the UK, were organizing a Sunday and Saturday school for Black history, for like history about their people. So that's where he learned Egyptians, Black Africans, because you won't learn that in school. That's where he learns the other side of the history of slavery and colonization. It wasn't the British that freed the slaves and did slavery. It was the slaves who were rebelling and showed everyone that this is not a good institution. We need to get rid of it. But somehow the credit is shifted to those who were already doing the enslaving, and then they said, man, the rebellions are getting too much. It's not economically viable anymore, so let's change. And they did. And now they are being praised for it. And he learned otherwise in the Saturday and Sunday school. So that is a great idea for diasporas, to create centers, like you see, like the way the Asians do, they always have an extra curriculum center for their kids to learn about their history and math, extra math, Asian way and stuff like that. So that's what they do as a diaspora. But when they're in their continent, it's all year round. It's your African system and your history, which in Africa we also have to change a lot, because a lot of the educational system is still very much the colonial one that left, especially the historical side of things. It's just Europe did this. It just started when they came. What?
If you were here, you'd understand. When I say here, I'm talking about UK. Obviously, it's insane over here. The way they teach Black history will make you want to throw up. And exactly what you just said there, it's gotten to the point that it's so bad with getting these European teachers to teach Black history. It's actually become like their favorite subject to teach, because they just basically talk about how backwards Africans are and how the British should be praised for ending slavery. The British got to a point where it just hurt our hearts, the moral degradation, and these Africans were just pouring and just, were just bursting at the seams with slaves, and we didn't want the slaves anymore. So our politicians got together. We started punishing and putting sanctions upon the African nations that were still trading. Like, this is what they're teaching. This is literally what they're teaching. They are absolutely insane. So this is why it's important that in fact, I would just love to get the whole Black history curriculum scrapped from the British curriculum, because it shouldn't be taught by Europeans, because they can't help themselves. I don't mean that in any horrible way, but they can't help themselves. So it should only be available if there's actual people of African ancestry or black people to teach it. Other than that, it shouldn't be taught, in my opinion, because they can't help themselves. They always descend into this whole derogatory line of the way that they kind of like portray the African population. And like you said, we can build centers, but even just for now, it's not going to take that much. I'm going to start working on this. It's not going to take that much to do things just like centralizing all of the resources that are being made on like YouTube, for instance, turning videos that have been made into papers that are researchable and referenceable. All of these things can be done. They're not. And none of this stuff is rocket science. None of this stuff is particularly hard to do. So once we have our own accessible pool of resources and we have some kind of, programs, then that's it. I'm not anyway. This is not what the purpose of this stream is. We're not kind of like brainstorming that stuff here. But I just want to. That's all. We don't need to agree on history. Yeah, they can have their version of history. Have it to your heart's content. Teach your mythology, but just know that we'll teach what we teach to our people, and that will be that. It's simple.
Exactly.
Cowlin, I hope I'm not misusing your name, because I love your point you just raised. They said please use ob-Saharan, which means blocked by the Sahara, or exo-Saharan, which means foreign to the Sahara. Thanks, Yatunde. Instead, above only works with the non-Kemetic map. That's absolutely correct. So actually, we should be calling them sub-Saharan Mediterraneans. Yeah, if we're going to look at it from the Kemetic perspective. Exo-Saharan I like as well, because exo sound that says you cannot enter. It's a barrier for you, and actually it is. So exo-Saharan I actually really like. That's a strong one. So I like that one.
Yeah. Because the term exo, we all understand.
Yeah.
That's a great one. Thank you for the donation.
Yes, thank you. And obviously, thank you for the donation. Much appreciated. What
I think you got it.
I like that one. Have I?
Yeah,
okay,
you got it.
I have. Cool. Let's go. Let's keep going then.
Around 600 BC, that Athens was founded 9,000 years before their time. And according to them, Old Kingdom Egypt began 1,000 years after that, which would have been around 8,600 BC. While many will be quick,
even if everything he said was true, it wouldn't make a difference. How would that stop black people from being able to move into this civilization, even if it was founded by Athena? How would that stop them from crossing the Saharan desert?
Quick to point out that the story of Atlantis is just a myth that is yet to be proven or officially recognized in academia. What is real and proven is DNA, as well as the fossil record of North Africa, which stretches.
So I just want to pause this, because I want everyone to be able to see the screen. So I just going to have to kind of hide that comment.
Right, okay.
Okay, cool. Let's carry on.
Back tens of thousands of years into the Pleistocene, or Ice Age.
Okay, so actually I just want to pause on that map really quickly, because DNA, I don't know what exactly, because he hasn't referenced this properly, but I just want to say something about some of these DNA maps. First of all, if we're talking about this region, particularly the Iberian Peninsula, any date prior to the Crusades, you're going to be looking at a black population. Okay, shock and horror to everybody. Yeah, Ibero-Mauritians. Okay, that we know historically we have a contiguous race from the Iberian Peninsula to North Africa. That was a black race. They're called the Ibero-Mauritians. These are the people who ended up becoming the Moors. Okay, so these are the native black people of this region of Europe. All right, so he's kind of banking on the fact that there's cultural genetic continuity. By the way, he's showing us a map. He's talking about Egypt, and he's showing us a map showing northwest Africa to the Iberian Peninsula. Yeah, and at the very furthest we have Algeria over here, Libya, Egypt, miles away. Okay, these groups, as much as I'm going to sit here and say they were black, they have nothing to do with the Nile Valley civilization. They are a separate group. They are a separate people. They are a separate ethnicity, and we don't even have that much kind of historical context of like lots of like integration and interactions between the Ibero-Mauritians and the ancient Egyptians. They had far more interactions with Sudanese, native East Africans, Central Africans. That's where Egypt's kind of source of interaction and trade was. We don't have a massive record. I'm not saying it's non-existent, but we don't have a massive record of Egyptian interaction with this region anyway. So I don't know what point he's trying to prove that. I just kind of wanted to mention that.
And also, have you noticed how he's framing his whole thing? So first he mentions a myth that has no historical basis, no scientific basis whatsoever, and he recognizes it, then he knows that it's a weak point, so he shifts to say, "Oh, but we have DNA and archaeological data to show that this myth could hold something." But look at how he goes on to support what he claims there. He shows one image. We don't even know what the context of this image really is, right? It just puts an image there, and then tells you that there is DNA and archaeological data on this. But he will proceed to show you nothing. I don't think. I don't think he will. And then this, this is how they always do it. And if the king's monologue, or I were to do this, we would be completely called out for this. Always like, no, this is not how you do it. This is not scientific at all. But him,
It's laughable.
no.
And can I just say something as well? I'm not going to go into that whole discussion at the moment, but Cro-Magnon, you can Google what a Cro-Magnon skull looks like, and you'll see obviously ridiculous, because it's Europe and Europeans have to claim everything that was European was white. But Cro-Magnon has got no continuity with modern Europeans. Cro-Magnon was dolichocephalic. Cro-Magnon had quite strong subnasal prognathism. Cro-Magnon, to anyone who's not a Eurocentrist, is clearly the skull of an African. Even the eye sockets, it's an African skull.
Exactly.
Cro-Magnon was black. Has so much orthographic projection. It's like, and it has massive cheekbones as well. Those massive, strong, protruding cheekbones that you only see amongst Africans. It's just
and also what I wanted to add is that to depict them like this is basically to depict them the way cartoons depict the Cro-Magnon, I think the French called them, because they were found in a cave in France called Cro-Magnon, the region. Then they were like, oh, it was in France, so they must have been white. But then you do bone analysis and all. They know today, it's a fact. The Cro-Magnon bones were black. And to still depict them like this is basically backwards and unscientific today. They know this. Mainstream science, they know the Cro-Magnon bones are not white. Diop had said it in his book. He had gone against it. They called him a liar for that. Today, they recognize it. But they will never say, oh, look at this African scholar here. He knew this a long time ago. So that's just what I wanted to add. It's like depicting them in a cartoonish way, like this.
Yeah.
Goes away in Europe.
I don't even know where he got this image from. This looks like some 17th century, 18th century.
Exactly, because nobody would depict them like this today. Nobody can depict the Cro-Magnon like this today. But I just remember like cartoons I used to watch when I was a kid.
Yeah, I like the way you say Cro-Magnon as well.
Yeah, so they used to call them the Cro-Magnon. Then they always show a white guy in a cave. So that wasn't the case. Anyway.
Oh dear, bizarre. Let's go on.
Some 40,000.
Let me help him out here. When he says DNA, he doesn't mean the DNA stretches to the Ice Age, but the thing that he's talking about, the Ice Age Egyptians, I'd love to see that evidence.
1,000 years ago, Cro-Magnon, the first people that had a skeleton, particularly the skull, that looked anatomically modern, entered Europe. Geneticists now show that a Cro-Magnon individual who lived in southern Italy 28,000 years ago was a modern European, genetically as well as anatomically.
For anyone who is confused.
Sorry, I just want to jump into that point now. If you've seen my live stream on DNA, okay, I do stuff like this all the time. So just like I said, this is one of the reasons why I have such large criticisms for the way DNA is used, because once again they'll make these assumptions based on the existence of a marker. Yeah, so all Cro-Magnon had to do was have, have offspring. Yeah, and any of those offspring just had to interact with any European offspring, and the moment they see that marker appear in a modern European, they will say, oh yes, he must have been like us. He must have looked exactly like us. It's like that's
exactly.
No, that's not how anything works in life. Okay, that's not how anything works. That's not accurate. So go on.
Yeah, as you said, this is what they always do. Like, oh no, like, well, he has this marker, so he must be like us, right? But more research on these bones and other bones from Europe showed that earlier than I think 4,000, 3,000 BC or something like that. Most Europeans, the majority, like the population of Europe, white skin was non-existent, and it came with the populations from the what's that? The ones they called the Yamnaya populations, the Indo-Europeans, right? Prior to that, everybody had black skin, and they did further DNA studies to see the gene that causes stuff like white skin to appear and all that. So they concluded that these people were black Africans. They always love to do this, and I wanted to just point out, like, if you find bones in Africa, right? Usually you can just say, oh, they were black, like Africans today. Why do we do this? It's because they can, whenever they reach these places, our places, they just die off. That's what people assume. But in their lens, you can't assume that, because black people populated the entire earth. That is a fact. Mainstream science today. But anyway, like, did you want to add anything else?
Yeah, I mean, there's so many things I can go on here. I mean, obviously, the first thing is that if we're talking about, I'm not going to go into this into a lot of detail, because that's not the point of this stream. But if we're even just talking about the entire out of Africa theory, yeah, with this idea that all Africans, black Africans, left Africa, the only way the theory works in their mind is that the moment Africans crossed that strait from northern Egypt and crossed into the Sinai Peninsula, the moment their foot hit Arabia, they turned white. That's literally what happened. So they were walking out, and there was like this force field that stripped melanin from them as they crossed in. Yeah. So as they crossed into the Arabian Peninsula, then into Europe, they just turned white instantly. And that's not how anything works. Everywhere that humans populated, they would have been originally black. And the only way that you have a propagation of races that were not black is over, first of all, you need to, if you're going to go on that whole evolution theory, we don't have a lot of time for evolution, by the way. This is why mutation is a much more likely outcome, but we don't have a huge kind of like window for people to evolve white here. Yeah, they know that when white skin first occurred, they've dated that to about 7 to 8,000. No, I think it was 6 to 7,000 years ago when white skin first kind of showed up in its modern form. That is the kind of the modern markers, which are the SLC 245A and the SLC 45A2, the MCR1, and there's another one. There's 4 genes, but they know none of these genes date back very far. It's just a few thousand years, and that's okay, cool. This is when we know white people first kind of like popped up, or pale skin or light skinned people first popped up. It was around this date. It wasn't that long ago. In fact, the pre-dynastic Egypt, pre-dynastic Kemet, I should say, already existed. The Nile Valley civilizations already existed when white people first started to appear. Now, there would have been a process, is the point I'm making. There would have been a process of, after appearing, populating certain places, moving into certain places. You didn't just walk into. So him talking about stuff that happened 28,000 years ago is irrelevant to his European/Mediterranean race theory. It's irrelevant because everybody was black. They left Africa black, and they didn't suddenly turn white as a result of stepping on European soil. There was no magic force field that stripped melanin from them. You know, so it's kind of an ahistorical approach. One of the things I even spoke about, sorry, I know I'm rambling a little bit here, but one of the things I even spoke about before is, you know, have you heard of the theory of brachycephalization in Europe? They've got this theory, yeah? Brachycephalization, yeah? Because they have to explain, you know, you laugh because it's hilarious. They have to explain the fact that within a very short period of time, and we're talking 1,000 years here, within a very short period of time, Europe goes from being majority dolichocephalic to majority brachycephalic. Now, this is a major change in terms of anthropometrics. It's a major change. That's like a evolutionary thing that should take thousands of years. You know, we're talking about the shape of people's skulls changing. Yeah. And it happens all of a sudden in Europe overnight, literally.
How do they explain it?
That's what they don't explain anything. They just call it brachycephalization. Well, we're giving it a name.
The explanation is quite gruesome. As one French, I was watching a show in on science, a science channel of France, and they were talking about the Yamnaya invasion of Europe, how they basically took over Europe because their DNA is the most present one today. And they were like, and the way it happened, they were like, it happened overnight in terms of, ancient history, like such transformation of a population should take like tens of thousands of years. But for the Europeans, they have studies saying like the white skin and all these traits and this DNA only took about 5,000 years. Like it increased like that. The explanation is very gruesome. There was massive
genocides. Let's be honest. Yeah, there's population replacements, and actually the honest geneticists like Dr. Selena Brace, she's very open about this. She's very, very clear. She's like, we're not related to Cheddar Man. In fact, there've been 2 population replacement events since him. No one's descended from him. And obviously, since then, people are, you're not descended. You carry a marker. That means you share a common ancestor. Yeah? You're not related to Cheddar Man. She's made it clear no one's related to Cheddar Man because all of his people were killed off by a next set of people. And then when that next set of people came in, all of them were killed off by the people that came. Okay, and that's what happened. That's what happened in Europe. Okay, so him trying to make this claim, going back to what we're talking about, oh yeah, Cro-Magnon 28,000 years ago, and he looks like this. They're all dead. Yeah, all of those people, all that lineage, they're all
not
dead.
Even related to him today, to so-called Asian people, to the Yamnaya who basically took over and spread that gene. So, what is he talking about?
Let's go.
Let's go.
Cro-Magnon is an old term for anatomically modern humans. So he's basically saying Homo sapien, using a word that has been thrown away, probably due to implications which they don't believe in anymore.
Ancestors of modern Europeans are primarily Cro-Magnon, despite the recent scientific revelation that Europeans also share 2% of their genetic makeup with Neanderthals. They're essentially Cro-Magnon. Not only are there also Cro-Magnon type settlements found in North Africa going back into the Ice Age, the oldest pre-dynastic mummified remains found in Egypt belong to a 5,400-year-old specimen now housed in the British Museum, nicknamed Ginger.
Okay, I'm going to pause it here. This is one of my, I'm going to go in.
Yeah.
This is one of my pet peeves. Okay.
Yeah. I'm just going to let you.
Yeah. I'm cracking my knuckles literally as I'm sitting here. Friggin' Ginger. Like, first of all, you have to understand the agenda in having a mummy and naming it Ginger. Do you understand? Like, I'm not going to mention names, but I've had people who think they're really honest, kind of like, oh, I'm no Afrocentrist. I'm just a historian. I'm not Afrocentrist or Eurocentrist. But are you gonna tell me that Ginger is a black man? But Ginger isn't white. Okay, what do we have here? We have a mummy that it wasn't mummified properly. So this was mummified by landscape essentially. It's mummified as a result of arid climate. Yeah, so this is Ginger. It wasn't mummied with embalming oils and stuff like that. Mummified by the climate. The hair is this kind of pale color, clearly hair that has been stripped of its melanin, which does happen.
Yeah.
Melanin degradation does happen. If you've got to see a body that's 5,000 years old, you're going to have eumelanin destabilization. Have several videos about this. It's very, very difficult for eumelanin to retain its color in that kind of environment. It's the same way that peroxide works. I speak about this all the time. And then they speak about the texture of the hair, which is, first of all, very, very consistent with lots of black groups in East Africa, Northeast Africa. Lots of people have hair that is that texture, but also, once again, that would have been affected by the climate as well. Ginger is not a white person. Okay, it was found in Egypt 5,000 years ago, right? And they didn't find any SPF nearby. Okay, they didn't find any of those things yet. This is someone who lived in the climate. The skin, I'm not going to start talking about the skin color, but this is not a lucidermic mummy with white people's hair. This is clearly just something that has experienced severe degrading. Okay, severe degrading as a result of the environment it was surrounded by. It's the most asinine argument ever, and it's the fact that they call it ginger. They didn't have to call it ginger. They could have called it many things. This is clearly deliberate, because the hair is not even ginger. That's the most irritating thing. The hair is more of like a mousy brown gray. This is the thing. It's more of a mousy brown gray, but they're going to call it ginger because they know the connotations that it's going to have in people's minds. Now, the one thing that I haven't done with ginger is I haven't looked at the craniometrics. I would like to, but I'm going to make the assumption based on just these photos alone. I can see it looks like what looks like a dolichocephalic skull, okay? And I can see what looks like, well, I'm going to leave it at that, because even that alone is enough to push it so far to the fringes of being a European that it almost becomes a pointless argument to have. But I would like to do further craniometrics on it, but it's like, it really grinds my gears that they called this mummy ginger, because it's just like so ridiculous, so desperate as well, so British. When people talk about like Eurocentrism and stuff like that, you have to understand the most desperate people when it comes to Eurocentrism are the British. The British are literally the most closet racist and desperate people to write themselves into history, and yet they like to project that onto other people. They are so desperate. It's actually cringe-worthy to see how they try to write themselves into history where it doesn't include them. This is why do you think Hollywood is every single depiction in Hollywood when they're talking about ancient society, be it the Greeks, Romans, Egyptians, why do they always have strong British accents? Who's making this decision? Why do they always have the strongest British accents? Like Britain had anything to do with these people? These are people with the greatest amount of, like, they're so insecure about their. I mean, if you understand British history, you know why they're like that now. And I've only learned that recently, because I didn't know British history until recently. So now I know why they're like that. But it's just like, yeah, this is very typical for them to say, yeah, oh, ginger. Yes, we found a mummy and we're going to call it ginger.
Sorry, because they know what that term's really. It really brings you to the ginger, as in Northern European, like pale skin with red hair. That's what you picture in your head, but clearly, this is not the case here. Like, I will just dare any ginger person to go. Like, dress like the ancient Egyptians, right? And live in the Nile Valley, as we know they did, just covering their lower parts, right? Leaving everything on top of that, like that. It's not happening in any tropical region, anything like that. So, yeah. But they always like to bring this mummy, always like to bring it up. Oh, the hair, look at the hair, it's blonde. But yeah, they need to show
the one mummy.
The one mummy.
And I know they had Old Kingdom mummies that are probably contemporaneous and maybe even predate ginger, that will never see the light of day, probably because they're sitting in some European stomach from the 19th century, because they probably ate them.
Private collection.
Okay, let's go. So that was my ginger rant.
Because of his reddish blonde hair.
The oldest mummy found in North Africa is actually older than...
You spoke about this, didn't you?
Yeah, I did. So, gracias, shout outs to you. He brought it up to be like, what is he talking about? First of all, he said that black people were not in North Africa, and then boom, he will never show you this mummy, that guy, Robert. He will never mention this fact because it will destroy his arguments that black people were not there, because that's his position. Black people were completely separated from North Africa. Oh wait, like 5,000 years ago, there was a mummy. Actually, the oldest mummy we found with the technique of mummification was done on a black boy. Why? They have no answer there. They love to talk about ginger. All right, that's
ridiculous. A few tufts of discolored hair, and they run away with themselves. It's just like,
exactly.
And the one he showed, and it's thought to be a sub-Saharan African. And as previously mentioned, the Sahara was green by this time, so there was no barrier preventing Africans, and we see a giant link between sub-Saharan Africans and all North Africans, especially Egyptians at this time, as you will see.
So yeah, I mean, just to point out, sub-Saharan Mediterraneans, yeah. Yeah. Let's just be clear about that.
Exo-Saharans.
Just want to quickly big a massive shout out to Carlo. Thank you very much, Carlo, for the donation of $5. It says kudos for bringing up the lazy Hollywood trait regarding the overuse of English accents on ancient civilizations. King Mono, I hate that practice too. It's very annoying. It's very annoying, and it's done deliberately, like I said, to kind of on a subconscious level make people associate it as one contiguous kind of line of, I don't know, descent, or kind of line of, where you kind of went from Rome, Egypt to Greece to Rome to Britain. Like that's the kind of what they're trying to push to you. This whole idea that is all one civilization. No, sorry. No. Until you're able to sit under a tree and wait in line to get your hair plaited by a barber in the heat of the sun, in nothing but a loincloth in the middle of Egypt with your hair standing on end, until you're able to do that, you're not able to claim ancient Egypt, my friend. Yeah. Yeah. You just so if you ain't doing that, if you then you're not, you can't claim that. Sorry.
Exactly.
All right, let's keep it going.
In mind that the remains were naturally mummified in the desert and did not undergo any embalming process, which many people like to claim is why many Egyptian mummies and pharaohs are blonde and red-headed. But ginger, the oldest mummified remains found in Egypt, was not treated with any embalming chemicals or did not undergo any unnatural processes. That said, forensic Egyptologists have proven that fair-haired Egyptian...
So just to be clear there, so ginger didn't go through any embalming process, and that's why ginger is, as you showed in the images, partially decomposed. Okay. Mm-hmm. So it's not just the embalming materials that cause ginger's skin. First of all, anyone who's got to classify that as a skin color, you're ridiculous, because she doesn't have, ginger, he or she doesn't have any skin. Ginger is just clearly just decomposed. You're not seeing much there other than just skin that just looks like it's been purely damaged by the environment. But then, so all you're making your assumptions on is a little tuft of hair. That's it. I could show you 100 Africans with that hair. In fact, that's if you had,
exactly,
take you amongst the Beja, that's pretty much standard hair texture amongst that group. what then?
Mummies were natural blondes, contrary to the popular non-scientific belief. Dr. Janet Davey from the Victorian Institute of Forensic Medicine decided to do her own experiments.
Sorry.
Okay,
I don't
this
mean
lady.
to be... Go on, you go.
No, you go on. Because I've seen this lady pop up sometimes. Yeah.
I mean, does anyone see? Does anyone see a possible conflict of interest here? You know, I did my video on not even I'm not sure if you saw my video on the reconstruction of Nefertiti when they tried to make it look like KV35 younger lady. That French reconstruction artist, I can't remember her name, but she's done several reconstructions and they all look exactly like her. Yeah, they all look exactly like her, all of her reconstructions. And then let me give you another one because this one always makes me laugh. Yeah, so have you seen the reconstruction of Cheddar Man?
Cheddar Man, yeah, I've seen it.
Now, have you seen the people who did the reconstruction of Cheddar Man? What they look like?
Yeah, when they're like white people, the ones.
Yeah, but I want you to look at that. I'm going to put it up on the screen because I just want to make a point here. Sorry, you know what I'm like? I have to do this. So I'm just trying to type it in, but my PC is moving a little bit slow. Just bear with me, guys. So this will take literally 1 second.
Let's go to the comments. Let's go through some comments while you're doing that.
Can you do that? You do that because I want to just I've got the image on the screen. So you go to some comments, and I'm just gonna quickly pull the image up.
Someone said the reason they use the British accents is to make themselves appear more sophisticated, unlike us here in the States. British are the first colonizers. It's mind games, bro. Like, it's like our accent is so old that it's got sophistication. While those people did not even speak your language. Like, what are you talking about?
All right, so let me share my screen really quickly. Okay. Sorry, I'll do this very quickly. Okay. Okay, let's see if it pops up. Oh, is it showing now? Yeah?
These are the guys. I see what you're talking about.
Here's Cheddar Man. Now, guys, in the chat, I just want to see if anyone notices something about Cheddar Man's face. Does Cheddar Man look like anybody else?
It looks like. Did I answer?
Well, like, I saw this and I was like, you've just painted yourselves brown. Like, you haven't even tried to hide it. This looks like your little black brother.
Yeah, it's like they
got the same. What the heck? You got the same. No, like this is not.
This is what I found odd about this guy about the reconstruction of Cheddar Man. I was like, okay, but it looks like a white man who's just like put chocolate on his skin.
You gave him your nose, you gave him your you literally gave him every single physical feat. Like this is just like you just said, let's just make him look like us. Now, it's so tiring to talk about this stuff because the one thing that you'll see is look at Cheddar Man's cheeks. Can you see the zygomatic projection there? Yeah, which they've tried their best to kind of ignore and hide. Yeah, but he's clearly got fuller cheeks. Yeah, so this is them plastering their features as much as possible. Cheddar Man did not look like this. I'm going to tell you that for free. This is not a reconstruction. This is a joke. Okay, the only thing they've done is made him dark brown. And that's because the geneticists told them they had to make him black or dark brown. That's what the geneticists said. They said he must be black. When they meant literally jet black or very, very dark brown. So he must be dark. That's what they were told. and they were told he must have blue eyes, dark with blue eyes. By the way, he only had a possibility of having blue eyes. They don't know if he had blue eyes. He just had the gene where he could have had blue eyes. So even that was a guess that could have been wrong. But hey, I'm not mad. I'm not mad at the fact that he's dark skin with blue eyes. But these features are just
there's many people like that.
What is this? Sorry, go on.
And these are the guys they respect, right?
Yeah, and we're not supposed to see that. We're not supposed to look at that and go, guy. I mean, didn't anyone come out and go, guys? He looks a bit like you. Yeah, are you sure that you followed the protocols here? Like, are you sure? You know, at least with what's the base? At least with Carolyn Wilkinson, she's got a process. I shared that on my live stream where, you know, she's got these pins and she's got these kind of like, she's looking at, you know, projections from different parts of the face and how thick the tissue is based on, you know, all of that stuff. So she's got a process that gets us this. You can't tell me they followed that process here. This is literally the definition of projecting, isn't it? It's like, oh man.
There's a guy called Richard Neve. He also does reconstructions.
Who's that?
Richard Neve.
I don't know that one.
He did a few reconstructions on ancient Egyptian mummies and all. Even the Fayum portraits, one of the Fayum portraits, and his reconstruction came out black. You know, like when he goes like, this guy was black, and he doesn't go like, oh, he's gonna put the very thin lips. No, he goes all out. He's like, nah, this was a black man. So when you said that the Fayum portraits, like some of them might be like, many of them might be fake. And Richard Neves did a reconstruction on one of the Fayum portraits, so like one of those mummies with a portrait. They showed the difference with the portrait and his reconstruction. His reconstruction, you look at it, you're like, black man, right? The full lips, the prognatism and all. Man. And then the Fayum portrait is like, you know, your North African or Middle Eastern guy, you know, so very interesting. Anyway.
Yeah, I can't wait to do that live stream. I'm gonna be totally honest with you. I can't wait. It's gonna be a lot of fun. So anyway, sorry. The reason I showed that was because
which included microscopic analysis.
This woman here, yeah, who's decided that ancient Egyptian mummies, many of them were natural blondes, yeah. I mean, you almost get an aneurysm because it's kind of like why if they were natural blondes, like in the kind of concentration that she's suggesting that they were, yeah. Where are they? Where are they? Because we don't have anyone who's even got European hair, let alone blonde, or like there's no depictions
in that region
of blonde people anywhere in 3,000 to 4,000 years of ancient Egyptian artwork. So
exactly,
where are you
go through entire tombs, and whenever they claim, I have a few examples where they claim that this is blonde hair, and I showed that it's not blonde hair, it's just the black paint that was scrubbed off. It's faded. That was it. That was the best evidence they had. Faded paint, which is still showing on the wall. When you zoom in, you're like, oh, the black paint is still there. How did you call this blonde hair? That was it. That was their best evidence. So, and let's not even without mentioning that there is black people that have blonde hair, like a few black people out there that have blonde hair. But
all black people have blonde hair.
Made right. Oh,
all black people have blonde hair. All black people have blonde hair. I've talked about this ad nauseum, and this is one of the reasons that they're tricking people. All black people have blonde hair. It sits underneath our black hair, okay? Because we all have pheomelanin. Okay. I've spoke about this many times. Pheomelanin is what gives you blonde and red hair. Eumelanin gives you black and brown hair. But eumelanin is subject to destabilization in certain environments. So in certain environments, when your hair is exposed to certain conditions, what will happen is your hair will change color. So you've seen people in Africa, you know, when their hair starts turning brown in the sun, That's a result of eumelanin destabilization. So it's exactly the same as, if you go and bleach your hair blonde, bleach is not a result of it coloring your hair. It's a result of it stripping you of your eumelanin. So it strips the eumelanin from your hair, which leaves you with your blonde pigment. That's how it works. So with a lot of these mummies, it's very easy to prove an ancient Egyptian had naturally blonde hair, because all black people have naturally blonde hair. You don't need a science or biology major to know that, or chemistry, I should say. You don't need a chemistry or biology major to know that. Okay, you just need to strip the eumelanin, and you're going to be left with literally naturally blonde hair. Because naturally blonde is just to say, well, there's been no chemicals added or anything like that. You just have to have, it just has to be, I'm putting it through a microscope and it's blonde at the roots. Okay, it's naturally blonde hair. All black people have naturally blonde hair.
Well, another method to distinguish between the races somewhat with hair, like the cross-section study of the hair, the thickness of the hair and all that. There was a scholar that did the cross-section study, and he found that most ancient Egyptians had a hair texture that falls within the African hair texture. So from the type 4C all the way to wavy hair, but they're all African, because the cross-section has a certain length, right? But
convexity,
they will never mention it to show you, like, okay, but this study went with this angle, but this study went with this angle and found something completely different, right? Because the blonde hair thing suggests, they were the white people, right? Because black people don't have blonde hair, right? As we know. But as you just said, well, at the root of our hair, we all have blonde hair. We all have it. We all have eumelanin, which is a fact. That's true. Interesting.
Exactly. And I think, just going back on your point about the fact that any study which is favorable to the African argument, you're going to see that study disappear very quickly. So just like they were into craniometrics big time. Craniometrics is actually a very effective way of distinguishing between ethnic groups. It's very effective. Okay, if certain black people exhibit certain traits and white people don't exhibit them, it becomes really easy to start cutting people out of the equation in terms of, okay, this person can't be this because they're showing these cranial traits, blah blah blah. But they found it was favorable to Africans, as obviously, so they stopped doing it. Another one that you just spoke out there is hair follicle measurements, which they started doing. So they started doing kind of like trichological measurements, hair follicle measurements, looking at hair. And when they realized all of this hair is falling into the curly range, because you can just look at you just have to look at the follicle shape. Okay, if it's circular, then you're looking at your Far Eastern Asians who have the straightest hair. White people tend to have kind of like more kind of like slightly oval, just very slightly elliptical hair, and then black people will have kind of from that elliptical hair down to almost banana shaped follicles where it will curl right over. So we'll be in that kind of range, that kind of like tight oval range. And obviously they did run this test on ancient Egyptians, and they found most of them fall into the black African range. So what do they do? Oh, let's bury that and never talk about it again. That's what it is. These are things that can just prove these arguments very easily, just like you spoke about in your video, and actually that excellent video by Know Thyself, and I've spoke about it previously, the skin pigmentation argument. Okay, we have an argument about if they're black or not. Can we just do a melanin test? Yeah, that will tell us if they're black or not, but it's not favorable to us. So let's talk about DNA. No, we don't need to talk about DNA. The argument is, are they black? So if they're black, let's just measure their melanin density. And if they come out lucidermic, then I'll have to back off and say, okay, cool, they're white. You're right. Yeah, we got it wrong. You're right. But they don't want to do that. They don't want to do that. They don't want to do the Occam's razor argument. That will end the argument very, very quickly. That's why it's kind of like,
and
yes, we need to be able to do a further DNA study with full autosomal next generation sampling and blah 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 blah. Why are you always pushing that? Why are you always making this?
All that because one sample came back. They were like, no, you push further. And have you noticed how her study is put on articles, like news articles, like wow, interesting. But the hair follicle one, everybody keeps quiet about it. You have to find the study of the scholar to know about that stuff. But hers, it's in mainstream. Everybody wants to talk about how the ancient Egyptians were blonde, and they put her picture on the screen to remind you that, hey, look, blonde people like her.
How about we put Anne-Marie Makoto on the screen, yeah, and talk about, I tested the ancient Egyptian skin and it all came back negroid. Oh, no, yeah. We're not going to talk about that. We're not going to give them a front page, are we? No.
No.
That one. It's nauseating. It is, honestly. It's so absolutely nauseating, kind of like having to discuss, or just even, this topic is just, it's like, it's been proven so many times. The anthropometrics proved it a long time ago. It's like such a long time ago. Like these people have bodies and limb proportions that are just so ethnically African. They're literally right there. The people with exactly the same body shape and skull shapes are literally right there in Central Africa. You can see them. Okay, you'll see them, the Kalenjin, the Samburu, the Tutsi. We're talking about these elongated limbs, these short torsos, these dolichocephalic skulls. I mean, identical to the ancient Egyptian on every single vertical, and they were just like, it's like blinkers. We don't care. We're not listening. Looking. We've tested this person's DNA. You've tested who has, or this mummy's DNA you tested who has clearly African limb proportions and black skin, and everything that will classify as a black person. You're going to try and overwrite that with DNA.
They'll be like, it's inconclusive.
It's unbelievable, man. Oh dear.
Let's continue.
Anyway, let's hear what Blondie has
concluded that fair-haired Egyptian mummies were in fact natural blondes.
There's too many ways to attack this version of the story where the ancient Egyptians just have red hair. First of all, why aren't they depicted with red hair on their walls? Claiming that the ancient Egyptians were blonde when almost no one in the Middle East or even Southern Europe is blonde is wild. Area point. That he called.
I like the way he said that. Sorry. Go on.
It's wild. Let's go. I wanted to point out, like, it's a good point that he made there. It's like this texture that you say the ancient Egyptians had. First of all, they are not depicted on their paintings, statues, anything. Secondly, that texture and hair color is not found in the region even today. So it's a wild claim. Indeed, Grassy, it is a wild claim.
It's like, dear, and it's like, what is the? I don't understand what the angle is coming off here. The angle is coming off here is that ancient historians, Egyptologists knew that the ancient Egyptians, were white, and they hid it because they were woke in the 18th century, and they were woke in the 19th century because why were they woke in the 19th century? Out of interest, during the height of colonialism and during the height of subjugation of the New World, and that when they were literally steeped in the belief that they are the apex race on the planet, why would they have been woke and hidden the fact, we need to hide this, we need to convince everyone that the ancient Egyptians were black, quick, change all those mummies for white people and replace them with black people. We can never let anyone know the truth. Why? What's that? Does he even have a rationale behind this theory? It's just bizarre.
It's just very bizarre. It is.
The Mediterranean doesn't even have this hair typical of the region.
Quote, the general public and a lot of Egyptologists think that the ancient Egyptians had very dark brown or black hair, but this shows there were fair-haired Egyptians. Of course, this does not speak to the entire demographics of the region, as there are clearly depictions of various ethnicities in ancient Egypt.
This guy is on crack.
This shows the racism of this guy. Like, I was like, typical. That girl, they always do this, you know. I find it laughable and frustrating, and then, like, it pisses me off at the same time. It makes me laugh because they always do this. That girl, the Kemet Queen girl, she did this whenever she was like, "Oh, there were black people in Egypt, but look," she shows the picture where they are bound. There were slaves, but she won't show you Djoser, Amenhotep III, King Tut's brown statue, and all these other statues, right? Or King Tut's sisters, right? No, they always show you these pictures of these Nubians being captured, always, and they tell you, well, black people were there, but they were slaves. But you just said earlier that black people were unable to reach that region. So how come are they now depicted on the walls as so-called slaves? Right.
Egyptian slave raiders. Egyptian slave raiders went to West Africa, kidnapped them and brought them back. Yeah, exactly. The Nigerians being depicted here. Yeah,
exactly. It's like in modern times, they always project the history that happened between the 15th century and the 19th century. They always portray that history onto ancient history. They were like, oh, the ancient Egyptians had slaves, so the slaves must have been black and the elite must have been white. Just the way it is today, especially the 20th century scholars. That was their thing.
Yeah,
like
summarizing anything black, summarizing anything they can see negative and black, and saying this is what they thought of black people. Just ignoring the fact that everything they've been seeing is black people. They only need to see one image negatively portray a black person or negatively speak about a region that they know was black, and then that becomes the nation's total attitude towards anything black. That's how that works. It's quite clever. It's like even like with I think it was Senusret III, who was one of the most campaigning kings in ancient Kemet, and they actually say his I'm not sure if it was you I was speaking to about the fact that they say his region expanded all the way to like literally to the west coast of Africa, so from east to the west coast of Africa. So he was known as emperor of that entire region, Senusret III. So he obviously had campaigned against the Nubians, and if you go to the British Museum, they had the translation. I think they might have gotten rid of it now, where he talks about him kind of like speaking about the Nubians, and he's saying, oh, you know, I have campaigned and I have brought them under. Everywhere it said the word Nubian, they said black. That's how they changed it to.
Exactly.
So it's like, I have campaigned against the blacks. I have brought the blacks to their need. I brought the blacks under subjugation.
Very bad translation.
Do you know the word they're translating to black? Nahesi, yeah? Nahesi is the word they're translating to black. Nahesi means copper. That's what it means, because it's the land where metallurgy was introduced. So they always were known. The people in the south were known as the copper people, the people who knew how to work metal. That's where they learned to work metal. So Tar Nahesi in the south meant copper, okay, because they were the first people to work copper.
Then they
so Tar Nahesi meant copper, and we both know what the word black is. Is what they called themselves. Yeah, so it's ironic because they make it sound like, oh, the blacks this, the blacks that. No, the only people they called the blacks were literally themselves. They called themselves the black.
Someone came with that quote in my email and was like, you're lying about the ancient Egyptians. Look at what Senusret III said about the Nubians. And then I saw the black. I was like, where is the original quote? Like, from which this is taken from? Did they really say black? He said, yes. I don't have the translation, but I can find it for you. I was like, find it for me. And I find the original. Then he went, he said, "Oh no, I can find it." And then he came back with it, and I found it. I was like, "That's not what they said. They didn't say black. They said the people down." Because they will come and say, "Oh no, but the ancients didn't use these terms as black or something like that to name people by color," and they didn't. Like most of them didn't. But the thing is, you would translate this as black, but whenever they call themselves these Kevins and stuff like that, the one that is used for black, as you said, now is, oh no,
Yeah.
it means land. It's the land. But they say the Nehese. They know, oh, the Nehese are the people who live further south from Egypt. Oh, they're blacks. And especially because they're talking negatively of. So yeah, I was like, come on.
It's a projection of colonial mentality, and that's obviously why they did it. That's what the reason they made those translations in the 19th century. It's obviously because they had a view, they had a perspective of black people, and so they had obviously made an industry of simplifying black people to the kind of lowest common denominator, you know. So any negative thing they say, oh yeah, see, that's why blacks are useless and they deserve everything they get. It's just like
exactly, and that's why they redid a lot of the translations of the Greeks as well, because the Greeks would have said black, they were black people, melanes, whatever. They all translate. When it's the ancient Egyptians, oh, they translate as dark skin. When it's a Nubian, they're talking about black, B-L-A-C-K. But when it's an Egyptian, oh, dark complexion, suave, you know, to muddy the water.
There's no kind of like question mark over the translation there. These people, donation from DL. Thank you, DL. $10, much appreciated. So this is why I find the works of Dr. Kihura in Cuba so critical. That even that name Kihura, that sounds like it's of Kemetic origin. So critical to the whole argument, since it cuts to the chase of all the fallacies in their narratives and put it to the first facts. I'm sorry, did I read that funny? I'm sorry if I just butchered your comment there, DL, but much appreciated. And I'll check out Dr. Kihura in Cuba as well. If you could put the name of a book or a volume or something that you recommend from them, I'm sure everyone will be very interested to know that. And I'll pop that on the screen when you do that as well. Much appreciated. How are we doing for time? It's 10 to 11. We didn't get very far. This is what happens when we get on a live stream. I'm telling you, man. It's just a bit too much fun. Let's go to 11. So we'll go for another 10 minutes if that's okay, yeah? And then we'll call it.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. Okay.
No problem.
So you sound tired. Thanks everyone for joining us. We got just under 300 live at the moment. Can everyone please just hit up the likes? Just do a quick random like spam quickly. Just hit the like up as much as possible. Thank you everyone who's joined us. We really, really appreciate everyone tuning in today. It's been
thank you so much.
It's been a lot of fun.
Thank you. So we continue with the video?
Yeah, I'm just pressing play now.
Cool.
I hope it will go. Come on. Oh gosh, it's taking this.
Especially among the various slaves, which do in fact include depictions of sub-Saharan African phenotypes. But among the pharaohs and nobility,
what he doesn't show you is that the wall that has the slaves, Nubian slaves, depicted on it is in Abu Simbel. And on the opposite side of the wall, they have Mediterranean slaves. And as you can see, Middle Eastern people are depicted very different than the Egyptians. Look at the length of their hair and the way it's depicted. By the way, this tomb belongs to this man. If you don't believe this man is African, judging by the way he looks, then you are blind.
I love the way he just stated all of that. That was just perfect.
Yeah, excellent.
Perfect. I don't need to add any more to that. Perfect. And I've always loved the statues of Ramesses at Abu Simbel, because I'm a little bit of arrogance there. I actually think that one of them looks a lot like me. If I was to like just paint my face like alabaster color features wise, because it's kind of like, as Africans, we all can identify with one or a couple of pieces of art in ancient Kemet. Everyone I know is like,
exactly.
And that's the thing. This is one of the reasons there's so much negativity. Why do you think there's this negative backlash from African people actually taking an interest in ancient Egypt? Is because they know what they see. They were just hoping that you guys wouldn't know. They were just hoping that we would never find out, and actually that their Hollywood lies had tricked us. That's what they were hoping would be the case, you know.
Really funny. I think you got a super chat.
Yeah, I did. I'm just gonna go up to it now. Tracy, thank you so much.
Wow, very generous donation. Thank you, Tracy.
She said, "Thank you both for debunking the lies. I received the beautiful reconstruction prints. Please let everyone know benefits on becoming a patron member." Well, since you mentioned Tracy, first of all, thank you so much. I really, really appreciate your donation. You're so generous, always in line with us, so I appreciate it. Your encouragement as well. And since you mentioned it, I do have different perks for my patrons. So those that just support me, obviously I appreciate you. But from the $10 a month, you will be mentioned on all of my documentaries that I do, and I try to put out at least I think I'm averaging about a documentary every 3 weeks or so. They are getting a bit hard to do that more often than that now. And then if you donate at the top tier, which is a lot, and I wouldn't expect everyone to do it, but if you can donate at the top tier, which is $25 a month, you get mentioned as a part of the production team, and you also get a monthly print, which, although I do group up the monthly prints and do like a big send out once every 4 months or so, because I find it hard to do monthly, but you get printouts. So all the people who are on my $25 a month tier have got really high quality A4 prints, which they can put into frames and stuff with my reconstructions. So yeah, I don't normally mention that, but Tracy, you asked me to, so thank you very much. You donated and you allow me to plug my Patreon a bit, because I do rely on my Patreon team. Basically, the reason I named them as production team is because I need them to be able to dedicate the time that I do to research and stuff. So obviously I really, really appreciate everyone who can give, and everyone who just gives on these live streams even, man. Thank you guys so much. It means a lot. It's very motivating. And not to say that obviously motivating about money, but yeah, just it's encouraging. You know, it's encouraging that people feel like they've been given so much value that they'll give as well. So I appreciate everybody. So thank you, Tracy.
So people, join the King's Monologue Patreon to get a print. They're beautiful reconstructions. So yeah,
the prints are really nice, by the way, as well. Like, they do come out. I'm not just to my own horn. The prints come out really, because I do upscale them, and they're really high quality. Like, they're very nice, very, very nice. Everything's building towards actually me. I'm doing a lot of work behind the scenes on my website, because I want it to be available as a resource, everything that I do. So research, reconstructions. People keep telling me you need to get my reconstructions out. Really, they need to be hosted on a website, so that we can start infiltrating Google and stuff like that when people search for specific pharaohs and stuff. There's a lot of work that needs to be done, and I want to turn a lot of my studies into actual referenceable papers that can be. So there's a lot of work going on behind the scenes at the moment, and obviously, like I said, I do rely on my kind of Patreon team to be able to A, pay for it, and B, dedicate the time to it. So yeah, thank you, Tracy, for letting me plug that. Appreciate it. And can I just talk about this on the screen now as well?
I saw what he did there, showing you this mummy, going like, compare them. This guy,
do
they look the same?
And can I just say this guy's such a POS as well? And it's first time I've used that term because I know it's not nice to be personal. But the reason I say that on this one is because he's outright lied here. He said Egyptian money general blah 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 prior to 1500 BC under Thutmose
Is this
III.
true?
First of all, have you heard of? No, it's not. He's from the Roman era. He's absolutely a liar. Like, and he knew that. That's the thing. The worst thing is he knew that as well. It's not like he had any doubt about that. He wasn't like going in there going, this is like him pulling a fast one and hoping for the love of God that none of his community are going to be bothered to actually do the due diligence and check to see if he was lying about the date. He's just lied.
Bro, are you serious? This is the era of Google image reverse research. Like whenever I go to dissect videos, like at face value, I didn't know, so I'll just look at it and be like, okay, is this really true? If I want to dissect this video, I go and screenshot, put it in Google reverse image, and I just destroy the
Google Lens. I can search the image.
It's nonsensical because you can actually find out that it's nonsensical what it did. So this is what they have to do to really get there, you know, to convince people. They basically have to lie, because whenever they tell the truth, it's not gonna appear truthful, you know. Like this guy, as the king said, he's not even from that era he mentioned on the screen. So yeah.
I mean, we're talking about, he's lying, and he's not a small, he's lying about 1500 years here. Do you understand? Because his whole argument is based on the fact that these white pharaohs were really old and they're dated back. And first of all, I'm not even convinced this is a white person, by the way. I think
ginger hair.
What you're looking at here, this is a Beja. To me, this is a Beja. This is a melanated person with kind of naturally, I would say this hair to me looks like that's close to its natural texture. But once again, the ginger hair is either a result of deoxidization of the, chemical destabilization of the melanin. I don't think it's natural ginger. I think it's a result of the mummification process that has taken place. And we know in the Roman era, they added things to the mummification compound that weren't used in older mummification. So it became a lot harsher. You had more and more of these kinds of effects taking place. That, or just like Angel has just said, it could be henna, but I don't think it's henna. I actually just think this is just like decolorization of the hair. But that being said, this mummy dates to the Roman era. That's like 300. That's like, I think about 80 or 90 AD. This mummy dates to. So he's lied about 1600 years.
He's a liar. Again, with him on the lie.
With here, real lies here.
Oh my God,
real lies. RJ McKenzie said he looks Somali, and I said that I'm going to agree. I said that's not far off, because I'm looking. And I'm seeing kind of like nomadic Beja, but you know what, Somalian could be as well. Remember, we're looking at features that have been desiccated here, but they get so enamored when they see anything that looks slightly. In fact, on a quick one, I know we're kind of at the closing time now, but this was an important thing as well. One of the things I wanted to talk about was the use of the term Caucasoid as a dominant term. Yeah. We know that the Eurasian, let's just say the Eurasian race, the fair skin, the white skin race, I should say, are a result of a recessive trait. Okay, not dominant trait. Okay, so they've come from the major group, which is the melanated races. Okay, yet Caucasians use as a dominant trait, which doesn't make any sense. Okay, so this whole idea that you just see one feature that they possess, which obviously they're going to share some features if they descend from something. So if they descend from us, they obviously would have inherited some features. So we don't look at a thing like this. We don't look at a mummy with like straight nose and thin lips and say, oh, that mummy's got Nilotic features, or that mummy's got Somalid features. We turn around and we say, oh, that mummy's got Caucasoid features. Why do we do that? one's dominant and one's recessive. So we should be saying Europeans have got Somalid features. That's what
Exactly.
that's literally how it should be phrased. Europeans have got Nilotic features. That's what we should say. You know, Europeans do have hypernilotic features. That's what we should call an aquiline nose when you've got a really thin nose. That's hypernilotic features that you have.
Yeah, they
the
came
word
first.
Caucasoid shouldn't even exist, because if Caucasian hasn't contributed anything to the reason that person looks that way, why are we using the term Caucasoid? You know,
These guys, yeah.
So we have to start changing the way the language is used. Just like we talked about the fact that they are sub-Saharan Mediterraneans, yeah, or exo-Saharan Africans or sub-Saharan Mediterraneans. I don't mind either. Just like we can flip that term, we also have to start flipping the term and stop using the term Caucasoid. Yeah,
exactly.
So actually,
there's a lot of
you have Somali features. Yeah,
you know that, Jay.
Yeah.
And that will get them so pissed. What did you say?
They give them monkeys. It's scientific. It's scientifically correct. You talk about inheritor. You talk about from, you know.
Yeah, you inherited those features from these people. The inheritor can't say you look like me. No. It doesn't go like that. It's not the father that looks like you. You look like your father. So let's be.
Exactly. So let's start using the language correctly in terms of where we want to talk about they've inherited certain features from. You know,
exactly.
So if they have brachycephalic skulls, I can't remember exactly. I think it's the Ijaw people in Nigeria that are brachycephalic. So you say, "Oh, you have Ijaw skull." That's what we need to say to them. Yeah, you have a Ijoid skull. Yeah, or Ijawi. That's what we do. We have to start flipping the language. That's the thing. We have to start flipping the language, because we can't.
When they use
terms like Caucasoid, it empowers them. It's very empowering. Oh, they're not Caucasoid. These features are. No, we shouldn't even be using that word. It's a meaningless
They call you
word.
Negroid.
Yeah. Everything in Africa is Negroid. How about that?
Yeah.
Everything in Africa is Negroid. Yeah. Oh man, what a fun live stream this has been.
Yeah.
Where you at now? Are you tired? Are you done?
Yeah, like quite late over here. Oh my god, yeah. But I'm getting tired now. Like to go through the video as well. If I continue, I won't make good arguments. I won't cook as well as I could.
Yeah.
Won't put the right spices.
Indeed. Oliver, thank you. He says, "What a fantastic live." Can I give a big up to Grassy C? Because we used your video, man. I'm not sure when you're gonna see this or if you're seeing it, but thank you, because it made it easier that you'd done the hard work and chopped up Robert video already. We didn't even get halfway through it, which is kind of like what we do. We talk too much. Well, I think this just gives us another opportunity to do a part 2. So we'll do a part 2, and I think we should finish this video off. What do you think? What do you think, Keulimika?
Sure. Let's do this. Let's do this next live. We need to finish the video, because whatever he says after this is also very funny.
Yeah, no, definitely do. You know what? Next one, I've already spoken to him. I'll get him on. I'm gonna get him on. So next one we'll maybe not for the whole stream, but we'll definitely get him to feature for a little bit. Say hello. By the way, guys, obviously have to do a big plug here. We've used his video, so if you can find Grassy C, I think he's searchable. Comes up top if you just search Grassy C on YouTube. Please do subscribe to his channel. He does a lot of work, and it's good work. It's good work, man. He puts a lot of work in. He's got a very good channel with loads of videos, man. And so just support him, man. It's a small channel. It could grow a lot from people's input. So please do, check him out. Thank you everybody for joining. Thank you, everybody, for the donations and the kind comments. People have just been well active. So, yeah, excellent, man. It really does make it much more enjoyable when we have a stream like this. 300 live for pretty much most of the stream. So it's been dope. It's been absolutely a lot of fun. So thank you guys so much for joining us, man.
Thank you for joining us. Thank you, guys. We appreciate you.
Absolutely, 100. Have a fantastic rest of your Sunday. And I've got tomorrow off. So, yeah. Have a good one, everyone. And I'll see you all on the next one. Hit the like button and peace. Thanks, everyone.
Peace, everyone. Thank you.
Oh, let me just quickly. Sorry. I know I should be ending it, but someone just gave a $2 donation. So thank you. Oh, wait. Patrina, it's great to have you as well, but I hit the wrong one. It was actually this one. Kinda Lynch. Thank you very much. So keep up the good work. Much appreciated. Thank you.
Thank
and
you.
That'll be the last word today. Much appreciated. Thanks, everyone. Have a fantastic rest of the weekend, and I'll see you on the next one.